IB Nation, welcome back to the Irish Breakdown Podcast. Friday, which of course means Notre Dame Recruiting Hour. It's a big one, folks. Junior Day this weekend. Notre Dame is going to be hosting some of the top talent from across high school football 2025 class. Also a pretty big 2026 quarterback that is going to be visiting this weekend for Notre Dame Junior Day as well. We'll be breaking it all down, my friends, offensively, defensively, commits on campus. We'll hit a mailbag at the end. Make sure you get your mailbag questions in now and hit that like button for us before we even start, because this is going to be a great show. Ryan Roberts, Director of Recruiting here at irishbreakdown.com. You also, of course, my esteemed co-host, Mr. Sean Davis, who is just live on Lucky Lefty Podcast. Make sure you go on the YouTube channel, search up Lucky Lefty. You follow their live shows there. You can go on any and all of your favorite podcast platforms. And be sure to check out the show. Give them a 5-star review as always. Sean, busy week, busy weekends. I know there's going to be a lot of great questions. A lot of questions about this week leading up to Junior Day as well, because Notre Dame coaches, open period. They're on the road. They're visiting anywhere and everywhere. They had a local day today where they were hitting Chicago, Indiana, Wisconsin. They were in California for a large part of the week. They were down in Florida, some coaches. Like, they have been all over this place. So we'll talk about everything that you need to know latest in recruiting. But Sean Davis, my good friend, how are you, sir? How's everything going?
Hey, we're going through the same struggle, right? It's,
Yes.
it's one of the rare times we'll probably say that, right? Because I went through the young baby girl struggle before you did, right? A little bit further ahead in marriage. So, things don't align, too much. But yeah, this snow struggle for both of us is very real. It's very real.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Dude, we just had pipes bust at our church yesterday. So it's been an adventure, man. It's been an adventure, but we're still blessed because we're here talking Notre Dame football, bro.
We are, man. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? That's all moving forward. I mean, yes, you are 100% correct. It has been a trying week in the Ryan Roberts household. We have 3 to 5 inches of snow already out there. So I got vacated to my sister-in-law's house, but that's okay because we still get to talk Notre Dame football at the end of the day, which is always great. So, folks, Junior Day this weekend, Notre Dame hosting a lot of key talk. Because, Sean, we are sitting here in January 2024, and 14 commits already are in the 2025 class, man. Like this, this program, this university, this staff, they have been filling up quick, man. I mean, this time, like last year, they were ahead of the curve as well. They were done by August. By August, we already knew who the 2024 recruiting class was going to be for Notre Dame. There wasn't much of a question mark after that as well. They're filling up quick, man. So, Sean, great question to start us out here, and then we'll get into, obviously, the visitors. We'll talk about the offensive class to start things out here. Sean, there are several players. Somebody asked me this on the message board. It was like, set the over-under. How many commits is Notre Dame going to get from this weekend? And, of course, there's some variance and there's a little bit of context to that question, right? Because the answer is, how many of the players that are going to be on campus this weekend eventually commit to Notre Dame? Probably a bunch. There's probably a bunch. This weekend, though, I set the over-under at 2.5, Sean. Silent commitments for this weekend. I think that we can get like 3 guys to pop this weekend. Again, they're not all going to announce publicly. Not everybody in this chat's going to know about it, but this has an opportunity to be a huge recruiting weekend for Notre Dame because there's a lot of commits that are going to be on campus this weekend that Notre Dame's in a great spot for. They are in great spot with several of these players that we'll talk about today.
You put the over-under at 2.5?
2.5, I would set. Yes, I would set at 2.5. For silent commitments. Again, not public, but silent commitments from this weekend.
If I were the bookmaker, I would probably put it at 1.5 to make it more enticing for the bettors. Okay. But that's 2.5 is a good number, though.
See, that's smart, man. That's smart. That's how Vegas actually works. They want to entice you. They want to make you think.
Oh, absolutely. We want the money to come in. So either way, we can cover ourselves on both sides.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Great place to start, and then we'll get into the offensive class. Big time. So these junior days are always so important because, one, for the committed players, they get the chance to get back on campus, hang out with the coaches again, hang out with the committed players again. This is where a lot of those great relationships bloom when they get back on campus, right? That's really where it happens. But also, having Deuce Knight on campus is a pretty good recruiting tool. What you say? It's a pretty good recruiting tool.
Absolutely.
12 out of 14 commits in the 2025 class for Notre Dame are expected on campus. The only two exceptions that I know of, unless there's a late cancellation, is James Flanagan will not be there, the Wisconsin tight end, and his dad is Jim Flanagan, so I'm not too worried about him, guys, if you guys are conspiracy theorists out there. And the other one is Josiah Kia, who is out of Hawaii, obviously linebacker. He was just on campus last week, Sean. I can't believe he didn't make the trip again from Hawaii. I can't believe he ducked out this weekend. But we forgive him because I was talking to Josiah, and when he was leaving Notre Dame last weekend, he had a 6-hour flight delay in Detroit. 6 hours. He went from, I guess, Chicago, O'Hare. I don't know where he went out of, but he went to Detroit to Las Vegas, back out to Hawaii, and he had a 6-hour delay just at one single airport last week.
That is definitely a byproduct of trying to find the cheapest flight. That's because the O'Hare connection should have been O'Hare straight to Hawaii. They have multiple flights going to Hawaii. Yeah, they definitely were trying to find the cheapest flight, which is understandable because the entire family came in to help his brother move in, right, and get settled.
Yes.
So yeah, I understand that.
It was a great story though. Obviously with Josiah Kia committing last weekend, because obviously his brother you talked about, he actually went out there with his father to help Kahanu get settled back in. Mom was at home when he pulled the trigger though, so he called mom and he's like, "Mom's probably been crying ever since," like that type of thing, which is pretty funny. But
so the average ticket was probably,
oh, could you imagine? I couldn't even imagine.
Five. On the low end, I would say five.
Yeah. It's I can't even imagine, man. To get out to Hawaii, it's probably a ridiculous amount. But regardless, we'll forgive Josiah for not being there this weekend. We'll forgive James Flanagan for not being there this weekend because 12 of 14, Sean, in the snow, by the way. Weather is not the best right now, and it's not going to be the best in South Bend, Indiana. It's going to be pretty dang cold. But regardless, you got Deuce Knight coming on campus again. You got Christopher Burgess out there. You got CJ May. You got all your top recruiters coming out this weekend. Ivan Taylor's of the world. Like, you got all of those cats coming back to South Bend to help recruit a big time class potentially in 2025. I just wanted to start this conversation, folks, just to understand that it's really huge for Notre Dame to have 12 of 14 here this weekend, especially when Deuce Knight's included in that, obviously.
That says a lot about the commitment within the class.
Yep.
Like these young men, I mean, the fact that Josiah was even considering coming right back initially says a lot, right? That just shows the commitment within the class of the committed players that they want this to be a great class or the greatest class that Marcus Freeman's ever had, you know?
Yep.
And the current landscape of recruiting, you need that. You need the program pulling from one side and the players pulling from the same side, which theoretically doesn't make sense because the flag stays in the middle of that tug of war.
Yep.
But maybe it helps. It helps to keep things going strong, you know?
Yeah.
Or if you want to say, you can say they all need to be pulling on the same rope. And they are. They are.
So Notre Dame's going to have plenty of recruiting pitches this weekend. Obviously, the great recruiting staff that Notre Dame has, led by Chad Bowden. You obviously had the coaching staff that is going to be there and doing their due diligence. And then you have the recruits on campus, which is going to be big time for this junior day. So, Sean, let's talk offensively here, the key targets. And I think that we should just quick note here, 2 guys that had to cancel the visit that I have reported upon, just so we know. One is Lucas, Texas, Lovejoy, wide receiver, Dalen McCutcheon. Unfortunately, and he told me I could put this out in the universe, so it's fine. It was on the message board. The flu is running through his household right now, so wasn't able to make the trip, unfortunately. The other one is Buford, Georgia high school cornerback Devin Williams, both in the 2025 class. Devin Williams, his flight had already gotten delayed, Sean. There was a possibility it was going to get canceled altogether. He actually told me that he was even talking about it to his dad about like, hey, can we drive up? And then his dad's like, that's probably not how that's going to work. So, and understandable, right? So unfortunately, there was a little bit of travel situation, a little bit of sickness, another one. But both players, Devin had told me that he was already he had already gotten the coaches to send him the spring practice schedule, and he was already setting things up like the next couple days to get out there.
Nice.
And Dalen McCutcheon's already talking about setting up a return visit as well. He's already been to campus twice before already, though, Dalen McCutcheon. So yes, a couple cancellations, unfortunately. Well, let's talk about the players offensively who will be on there, Sean. So we'll talk about 6 guys altogether, and we're going to leave a certain 2026 quarterback into the end because it's a very interesting one. I'm going to group this together by position. We're going to start with the wide receivers. Dalen McCutcheon, like I said, will not be on campus, but there will be 2 wide receivers on campus. One that we know Notre Dame has been pushing for a long time. The other is a new guy that is just fresh on the radar, was just offered last week by the University of Notre Dame. First one, Atlanta, Georgia, Woodward Academy wide receiver, Jerome Bettis Jr. Of course, Notre Dame fans, you all know whose that is, right? And we have talked ad nauseum about him on this channel. And Sean, I would put it like this, guys. If I was a betting man, which I'm not always, but if I was a betting man, I would feel very good about Jerome Bettis Jr. ending up in the Notre Dame class eventually, right? Will it be this weekend? I'm not sure. Right? He is trying to do his due diligence. He is being recruited by some other schools, and I think he's just trying to make sure that this is like an authentic, organic approach, right? He doesn't want to be able to just have a quick reaction that, he's the bus's son, and that's the only reason you're taking his commitment and blah, 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 blah. His offer list has actually expanded quite a lot, Sean. I mean, he's got like Arkansas, Texas A&M now. Like he's got some suitors now. But regardless, things are in a great spot with Jerome Bettis Jr. Could it be this weekend? Possibly. Could it be a month from now? Possibly. Could it be tomorrow? Possibly. This is literally just a keep getting them back to campus because we know who Jerome Bettis Jr. is, right? Like and we know that we want him in the class. Notre Dame will take Jerome Bettis Jr., folks, because I know there's always going to be a question of, you have a new wide receiver coach, Chancey Stuckey's out, Mike Brown's in. Does Mike Brown feel the same way about the wide receiver board? And we've seen it, Sean. The wide receiver board is shifting right now for 2025. It's shifting, man.
Yeah.
So let's not spend too much time on Jerome Bettis because that's one of the oldies that's transferred over, right?
Yeah, yeah.
One of the new guys, though, that just got offered, that's going to be on campus this weekend, New Jersey guy, Wayne, New Jersey, DePaul Catholic wide receiver, Elijah Burus. For people that don't know, son of former New York Giant great Plexico Burus. A little bit different than his pops. Pops is like 6'5". Pops was a big time, just possession receiver, could win down the field with size and length, and made the big touchdown catch, obviously, to upset the New England Patriots a few years ago in the Super Bowl for the Giants. But Elijah Burus, 6'1", 170, sleek, pretty explosive. Sean, I think it's a positive sign in that recruitment just overall. We'll get a little bit deeper into it, that Elijah Burus is heading to junior day so shortly after being offered by Notre Dame.
Man, it's a great sign. Dude, we have does Troy Polamalu have a kid coming down the pipeline? I mean, this Steelers connection of former Steelers is
seriously, man.
It's starting to be a thing, right? But no, like you said, we loved his film, his suddenness, and Mike Brown and the archetype of the guys that tell me if this is something you picked up, right? Because he comes in and there's a couple of things he has to do, right? Yep. He has to look at what he has and what he doesn't have, even with the additions via the portal. And he has to say, this is what we need. We need more of this in this room. And I think the evaluation in the office that have gone out kind of gives us a hint of what he's been thinking watching film of the wide receivers at Notre Dame and just viewing how they play and how they practice to say, yo, we need guys that can run with the ball in space and are great after the catch. That seems to be one of the traits that's pretty consistent with his offers and his evaluation. And Elijah Burus fits right into that.
Four receivers that have been offered to strengthen your point. The four receivers that have been offered since Mike Brown has taken over. Raiden Vines-Bright out of Arizona that's now going to go to IMG Academy. We just talked about Elijah Burus a little bit. Nasir Newkirk out of North Carolina, Dudley High School, that we talked to, we at least talked about on the message board. And then my favorite guy that they probably have offered so far is Lex Cyrus out of Pennsylvania, 5'10", 175 pounds. He's out of the Susquehanna area of Pennsylvania. That I think you hit on it, Sean. And I think this conversation starts of, is Notre Dame going to push for Elijah Burus? I have no idea, guys. It's way too early in this recruiting process to know exactly who. And I forgot Tanu Kynes, Brandon. Brandon, stop being a know-it-all in the chat, okay? Yeah, I forgot Tanu Kynes out of Texas. My bad. He also, Nicholas Townsend's is his teammate. Yes, he offered him as well. My bad, Brandon. My bad. But regardless, I think you hit on something important, Sean. We don't 100% know. We know some of the carryovers, right? Like Notre Dame is still going to push for Jerome Bettis Jr. They're still going to push for Derek Meadows. I mean, they just had the full court press at Derek Meadows High School yesterday at Bishop Gorman. They're still going to recruit Taylor Taylor, and I think they're still going to do full court press on that one as well. But regardless, what does the rest of the wide receiver board look like? Because that's how you build a board, right? You need options on your board. And they're definitely looking for explosiveness. They're definitely looking for suddenness, quickness. I mean, all these kids, I mean, we'll talk about Elijah Burus, obviously, in this section, but Nasir Newkirk, the first thing that pops up when you go to his huddle is basketball highlights, man. He's a pretty dang good basketball player. When I looked up Lex Cyrus, he's a 10-400 meter kid, right? Like, he can move, buddy. He can move. Rain Vines Bright can get some stuff done with the ball in his hands as well. But regardless, I think that we are seeing a shift. People have asked this on the message board. Someone may have asked this yesterday during the show. I can't remember exactly. But I think we are seeing maybe what a Mike Brown archetype looks like. He wants sleek, explosive, dynamic after the catch. I think we're seeing that. I think you made a great point there.
And I don't think that's all he wants. I just think he has evaluated what is missing. Like, cause we have physical guys. We have big guys that can attack the middle of the field, right? They can go up and get 50-50 balls, right?
Yep.
Bo Collins is going to probably be here for a year. Chris Mitchell is probably going to be here for a year.
Yep.
So we still have to look beyond, and looking beyond that, the suddenness, the explosiveness, the value, not only in the passing game, but in special teams. So, they have big dudes. Great House is a big dude. Jaden Thomas is a big dude. Deion Colzie is a big guy. Bo Collins is a big guy. Like, they're going to have that this year.
And they already have those guys on the 2025 board that we just hit on. Derek Meadows is that type of guy. He's a big 6'5" guy. Jerome Bettis Jr. is up to 6'3". Like, those are your bigger body guys that are on the board right now. Taylor can do some stuff outside the numbers. He's a little bit more similar to like the Elijah Burus that we're talking about from athletically, but there are some bigger bodies that are on the board. They more added space players to the board, it seems like, right? Like guys that can create a little bit more than maybe just at the catch point, down the field. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be really interesting to look at. But as far as what's at stake for Elijah Burus, the answer is, guys, and if anybody out there is telling you any different right now, you have no idea. We have no idea. Obviously, it's a good sign that Elijah Burus is coming so quick, right? Just for general interest. But it's still early on in this process. I mean, he was just offered last week. We have no idea if they were going to push for Elijah Burus. We'll know a lot more after this weekend as far as, is this a guy that they are like gun-ho, like we're going after that kid? Or if he's just a guy that they want to get to know more, right? Like get him up to campus for the first time. See if he even is a fit there. Like, does he see himself there? Could you see him there? See him in person again? Like, there's all these different types of things that are going to go into this visit, and you're going to come out of this visit. So that's what's on stake for Elijah Burus. Again, Jerome Bettis Jr., you're in a great spot. When are you going to close the deal? Elijah Burus, early on in the process, but it's good that he gets up to campus to at least see everything and to see if he's a potential fit there. And, Sean, you mentioned it, and this matters. Some people are just going to roll their eyes here. But getting Plexico Burris up to South Bend is not a bad thing for the notoriety, my man. It's not bad.
Plex has already been on the phone with Ike. You already know he's talked to the guys he's played with. You he has. Like, what's it about? What, is it worth me taking a trip, taking my kid up here? The good word has already come down. And on top of the fact that they already have the Clark kid on this year's team, Jordan Clark.
Yeah, Jordan Clark. Yeah.
That can talk to him and that can
talk to It is crazy, man. They're going after a lot of Steelers. I know Plexico was only on Steelers for a little bit, but they're going after a lot of former Steelers, man. They are crazy. And Brandon mentioned something in the chat too, Sean, that we weren't going to talk about. But Sean Terry, who doesn't hold an offer for Notre Dame, 2025
Oh,
receiver out of the state of
like the
Ohio.
film, but I like the film though.
Yeah, the film's very interesting.
Oh,
He
yeah.
wins after the catch. He's a smaller kid, 5'9", 170 pounds. Ironton, Ohio is where Sean Terry's from. But he can do some stuff after the catch, man. He's a very interesting player. So does he leave this weekend with an offer from Notre Dame? Not 100% sure. We'll see, obviously. But yes, I think that we are seeing an archetype at wide receiver, which is going to be very interesting moving forward. Let's go to the big uglies or the big pretties, big beautifuls. I don't like calling people ugly. So about the offensive line. Sean, this is a huge weekend in offensive line recruit. I would argue this is the biggest potential for a boom of any position on either side of the ball for Notre Dame in 2025. Notre Dame already has Will Black coming back on campus, which is their lone offensive line commit in the class out of the state of Connecticut, big-time offensive lineman. You have 3 offensive linemen that are going to be on campus this weekend that I believe are all takes for Notre Dame today. Guys that Notre Dame would push for. I think that you could potentially, I'm going to say it like this, if it ended up, and I'm talking, of course, about Jack Lang out of Eureka, Missouri, okay? I'm talking about Owen Streb out of Waukesha, Wisconsin Catholic Memorial, and I'm talking about Maty Augustine out of Greenwich, Connecticut, Brunswick School, who's also the teammate of Notre Dame safety commit Ethan Long. Out of August, if I told you right now, Sean, Augustine, Lang, Strebig joined the class of Will Black, and that's your 4-man class, I don't think that's unrealistic at all. Notre Dame has a shot at all these players this weekend. They have a shot at them.
I agree. They have a really good shot at them, and I think they're going to go a long way to establishing maybe, possibly solidifying a commitment, if not now this weekend, but early spring. I really do. And you have to tip your cap because it was one of the concerns we had about Joe Rudolph, or to say we didn't know. Like, what is his recruiting going to be like? What are the type of kids he's going to go out and get coming in the shadow on the heels and on the heels of one Harry Heastand? And I have to say, he's shown himself to be very formidable on the recruiting trail.
This 2025, because we only got a glimpse of it in 2024 because it was already a couple commits already in the class. This 2025, Sean, again, if they end up with that 4-man class, it's a dang good offensive line class, man. That might be one of the best offensive line classes Notre Dame's had in a couple years. Like, that's a really good group. And let's start off, let's prioritize this by guys that I think you're in the best spot with to start today, right? And then we'll talk about why it's important. Owen Streb, again, Waukesha, Wisconsin Catholic Memorial, 6'8", 290 pounds. Sean, ask me how many times Owen Streb has been to campus. Ask me.
Michael Jordan championships?
Was it 6? Did he have 6 championships? Was that what it was? Yeah. Michael Jordan championship number for Owen Streb. He is going to be on campus this weekend for the 6th time. I literally put out the article after I interviewed Owen on the phone. He texted me and was like, dude, I've been there 6 times. I'm like, yes, you have, sir. 6 times. You sure have. Things are in a great spot there, Sean. A couple of the other schools to watch out for, I would say Wisconsin's done a pretty good job. Obviously, it's a home state kid. USC has done a pretty good job. I would also say Miami has done a pretty good job for the most part, right? Like those other schools have done a good job. But this is Notre Dame's to lose. And I think Notre Dame has a chance to close this guy out this weekend. Not predicting a commitment. What I'm saying to you is that I wouldn't be shocked if Owen Streb got that feeling this weekend and it was over. I mean, every time I talk to him, and again, I know I'm a Notre Dame-centric recruiting analyst, right? Like a director. I get that. But I ask him about a lot of different schools. I ask him about just his process and his format and everything and what he's looking for. This is Notre Dame's to lose this weekend, Sean. They have a chance, I think, to close this out in the near future with Owen Streb.
And the number of visits, he's visited Wisconsin a lot. And just, and the schools that he's visited a lot.
He likes Wisconsin too. He likes Wisconsin. Yeah.
Are in close proximity.
Yep.
So if you have the resources and the support of the family to get you to the campus and get you to games, being in close proximity, I would do the exact same thing. I would, man, because that's what it comes down to, right? We're talking about unofficials. It's like, yo, if you're close and you can get there, go. And he just happens to be one of those kids that enjoys the process.
Yep.
And like
But he
you
enjoys
said,
it the right way, Sean. Like he's not super
yeah,
flashy and just big time people and stuff. Like he does interviews. He's enjoying the process. He's going to different places. You've been out to USC, right? Like he went out to USC, experienced that. He been down to a
man.
couple schools in
And
Florida. Like he's experienced that.
I would go to USC 3 or 4 times before I committed, if that's where I wanted to go. Like,
Yep.
This process is different for everybody, right?
Yes, it is.
It's how you want to take advantage of it. And like you said, the proximity, 2 of the top schools and on his list are within a nice little drive for him and his family.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, he's come like off season, he's come to some games, definitely really tight with the 25 guys, has a relationship. So he wants to see them continue to build that relationship.
Absolutely,
So
man.
that leads to number 6 on this junior day.
Number 6, baby. 6 is the best one. 6 is the best one, I think. So we'll see. Just kidding, obviously. But yeah. So number 6 for Owen Streb this weekend. I think Notre Dame has a great chance to potentially close it out. We shall see. I mentioned we also have Brunswick School, state of Connecticut, offensive lineman Maty Augustine. This is a guy, Sean. He camped at Notre Dame last offseason, earned an offer. He's now been to campus. I believe this will be number 4 for him. Don't quote me on that one. It's either 3 or 4, though. So he's been on campus pretty regularly. Teammate of Ethan Long, the 2025 safety that is committed to Notre Dame as well. I think Notre Dame has a good chance here, Sean. I mean, look, I'll put it like this, guys. I don't think this is as like foregone as like some people maybe have portrayed it. Like, I don't think this was just Notre Dame or nothing, right? Like, I do think that for me, Maty Augustine has been letting this process play out, and he has been looking around, and he's been letting other schools have their pitch, right? If you ask me today, where does he most likely end up? I do believe it's Notre Dame. But I do think that they still need to close here. Like, I don't think this is like a foregone conclusion that like he's going to visit this weekend, he's going to commit, it's over with. I do think that there's a little bit of work to be done with Maty Augustine. That's kind of how I feel about him.
Look, they talked about it. We continue to be impressed with the profile that we talked about Mike Brown's profile. Joe Rudolph's profile. The pictures we see when Marcus Freeman is standing in the tunnel, waiting to lead them on the field. He's going to start looking shorter and shorter every year. He comes out with the offensive lineman behind him, and it probably will be 6'7", 6'6", 6'5", 6'7". And dude, that profile is getting bigger and bigger. And if you want to say SEC style offensive line coming to Notre Dame, as long as they stay as good and effective as Notre Dame offensive lines have been, I'm all good with that, because you still have to coach him up, right? Double R, you still have to coach him up and get him ready. So Maty Augustine is another impressive kid in this 25 class. And if you're talking about them getting all of the offensive line kids, eventually into this class that are visiting this weekend, man, I don't know what now you start to question what's the best unit in the class, right? Deuce Knight speaks for himself.
Yes, he does.
Right? But
and he will speak for himself, Sean.
Always.
Yeah.
Never at a loss for words.
No.
But I think the running backs are underrated in this class. I think they're underrated. I think Thurman and Anderson are both fantastic talents, right?
I think they both fit. I think they both fit really well together as well with Anderson and Thurman, because Thurman's kind of the speedster. Anderson's the more traditional, like in the tackle type of runner, one cut guy. Yeah.
And you start talking about Ivan Taylor, Creed Thomas, and then you start adding in the possibility of Mark Zachary, Devin Williams, Dallas Gold. Like, it's the defensive back room.
Great conversation that will happen eventually, Sean, is if the offensive line class finishes the way I think that it can finish, and the cornerback room, if you're able to get, and we'll talk about Dallas Golden later, we'll talk about Mark Zachary later, but it also, if the safety group is able to get Jadon Blair in it as well, like, Dang, man. Dang.
Mhm.
That's a pretty tough conversation. We'll have that one at some point, I'm sure. It's so funny though. We just talked about a 6'7", 290 plus offensive lineman in Maty Augustine, and somehow he was the second lightest of the guys that we've talked about so far. Because Owen's listed at 6'8", 290.
Nah.
It's probably $3 bills, right? Like it's probably $3 at this point.
Yeah.
So
Have you seen him? Like, yo, even
yep,
in his pictures, it's
yep.
like, yeah, that kid's not 290.
No, he's not 290. I agree. The last guy that we want to talk about, Sean, because I think Jason said, and so Jason, that's a great question. So Jason was saying who else besides Owen Streb, Will Black, Maty Augustine, and he talked a little bit about Josh Petty. We'll talk about Josh Petty, and I'm actually going to talk about him in the mailbag, Jason, because he's still on the board. He's still being recruited, but if we're talking about like realistic options, he's kind of lower down right now, even though I love that kid's film. Like I love Josh Petty
Yeah.
out of Georgia. I think he's a stud. But the other guy that Notre Dame is high on right now, Jack Lang, Eureka, Missouri, the lightest guy on this list, Sean, he's only 275 pounds at 6'8". Okay. He's only 275 pounds right now. He's the light guy. He's the light guy. But he is also the biggest riser of anybody that we just talked about. Owen Strebig's kind of been that guy for a while. Like when Notre Dame offered him, he already had a ton of huge offers.
Yeah.
Jack Lang has been blowing up during his junior year. Like he blew up during his junior year, and it has continued. He is accumulating a lot of great offers. He's considered a top 150 recruit by at least 2 services. I think maybe 3 at this point. He's blowing up, man. Now, where things are, and we'll go a little deeper because he's a very talented player, and he's a player that Notre Dame wants, obviously, getting him back again for another visit. Second time on campus, by the way. But this is a player, Sean, that I think Notre Dame has work to do here. Work to do. This is not a foregone conclusion, folks. Listen to me. It's not a foregone conclusion. If Notre Dame just keeps pushing for Jack Lang and just just whatever, he's going to end up in South Bend. Like, no, I don't think it's that easy. You were a little bit late here, just semi-late. There were some other schools that were late as well. But you now need to kick this one into overdrive. You need to have a great weekend this weekend. I don't think he's going to be one of those players that's going to commit this weekend if he has a great visit. I don't envision that happening. I could be wrong, but I don't envision it. You need to have a great visit and continue to push. You're going to have a chance at Jack Lang. You're going to have a chance, but there's work to be done here, Sean. There's a lot of work that I think still needs to happen here. It's not like he's not ready to pop this weekend, I don't think. I don't see that.
No. And he'll probably come back for a visit around what? Spring practice?
You would think. That's usually kind of the trend that typically, if he has a great visit, obviously. If he has a bad visit, then you may never see him again.
Right. I don't anticipate him having a bad visit. Just being around the kids that are going to be there and the other offensive linemen and the way Notre Dame has created what they create is I think they all meet together. All junior days are probably different, but the guys meet together and then they kind of go off, and the offensive linemen kind of go off together. I think that was one of the things with Charles Jagger saw on his visit. When he came up, he talked about that, how they all came together, and then all of a sudden the offensive linemen found themselves together. And I think that'll continue, right? And if he gets here and he starts to hang out with Owen, and Owen, like you said, is on the verge of popping, he gets to experience Owen pop, or saying, yo, this is the place I want to be, it could go a long way to influencing Jack Lang to get back in the spring and possibly join the class.
An important thing that was a part of my conversation with Owen, kind of a little bit of a visit preview for him this past week, was he's been talking with Maty Augustine. Excuse me, I just hit my mic. He's been talking with Maty Augustine. He's been talking a little bit with Will Black. He's been talking with Jack Lang. A lot of these guys is going to be on campus. Those guys have kind of developed a pretty good relationship, which is kind of interesting because 3 out of 4 of the kids I just said are not committed to Notre Dame. Like they're not. So we'll see if that means anything. If it means something a lot, if it doesn't mean anything at all, like I don't know 100%, but there's a relationship there. And I think you hit on that, Sean. Like there's a developing relationship. He likes Notre Dame. He likes Joe Rudolph a lot. It's just now about making up for a little bit of lost time. Again, not crazy lost time, but a little bit of lost time. And can you now propel yourself to being that top team on the board? That's the step here. That potentially they could leave this week as the clear number one team for Jack Lang, in my opinion, or they could just have not made, like, they're just neck and neck with a bunch of guys where they just kind of leave it out there to be, for another team to overtake. That's kind of how I see this one. So offensive line recruiting, though, in 2025 is excellent.
Like, who you see as the main competition? You thinking like Oklahoma?
That's the crazy part, is I think it's kind of like a middling group right now. I think there's a lot, like, I think Missouri is a part of it. I think Oklahoma is a part of it. I just think that a bunch of the Midwesty type of schools, like they're all in it with Jack. What I'm saying is that with a great visit, he could be number one over everyone at this point. That you have that potential, but you have to get to work this weekend if you're Notre Dame.
Yep.
Right. Bunch of false information in the chat, by the way, about a transfer quarterback potentially, but hey, another conversation for another day. Sean, last part of the offensive conversation, then we'll get to defense. Quarterback. I know you guys were just talking about this one on Lucky Lefty podcast. So I don't know how to pronounce his last name perfectly. I've only DM'd and texted with the kid a little bit at this point, so I've never
we don't
opportunity to talk to him on the phone yet. But Brady Smigel is how I'm going to say it.
Smigel.
Brady Smigel is how I'm going to say it. Brady Smigel, 2026 quarterback, Newbury Park, California, will be making his first trip to campus this weekend after Sean. They just saw him yesterday, and I'm recording on a Friday, so they saw him on Thursday. They were out at Newbury Park watching him throw. And when I say they're watching him throw, you had 5 coaches that were there. So you had Marcus Freeman, Mike Denbrock, Mike Brown, Gino Gaduli, and Mike Mickens were all out there. They were all out there at Newbury Park watching this young man throw, all of them. And early on, I will say this, they've made a very positive impression on Brady. I think that Brady was excited because, Sean, it was funny. I was asking Brady how it went and stuff, and he's like, yeah, it was really cool. Great to see Notre Dame guys out there. I got super juiced about that. But then he's like, also, there was like, what schools did he say? I know that there was at least like 4 other schools there. Washington was one of the schools that were there. Well, let me pull up my notes from that interview. So there was, so Oklahoma, Michigan, Penn State, and UNLV were all out there watching him throw with Notre Dame. Like, they were all out there. All the coaches were out there watching him, which was pretty funny.
I think Michigan offered right after Notre Dame.
Yeah. So there's high interest in this young man, considered a 5-star by one service, I believe, at this point. I would say this, and I had a little bit of an intel piece, and it was a part of an article, so it's not like big thing, but it seems like early on, Ryder Lyons is kind of the top quarterback on the board for Notre Dame, but Brady Smigel is a guy that Notre Dame appears to like a lot. So saw him throw on Thursday, going to come back. He's actually leaving early Friday today to get out to South Bend, I guess, to avoid some of the weather stuff or whatever. But then he'll be there this weekend. Yeah.
The first flight never gets canceled. That's a little tip. Like, they always let the first flight out to test things out. So if you want to get out in inclement weather, get the first flight. That's smart by the kid. Get out early. Get to Chicago. Get to South Bend. But we had this, like you said, we just talked about this. I was team Ryder Lyons.
Yeah, until you saw Smigel.
And then I saw Smigel, and I was like, oh. And you know what it is? You can't lose. You can't lose. This is all about preference.
There's no wrong answer here. There's no wrong answer here. Yeah.
Choosing one over the other is not like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's not, no, this is like not hard at all. It doesn't take that much evaluation. Honestly, it's like, what's your preference?
Do you want, because I would phrase it like this, Sean, right? It's a preference thing. So Brady Smigel is the 6'5", rocket-armed quarterback who can fit anything anywhere, right? Like, he is that type of dude. Not like the out-of-structure guy, though, right? Like, he's not going to move a ton, but he's a pocket kid. But, man, he can hit, like, he's a multi-level thrower. He can fit it anywhere that he wants, pretty much. Ryder Lyons is more of what Notre Dame's been going more towards, is the dual-threat kids, right? The guys that can throw short, make a lot of plays outside of structure, but also run the football. I mean, he ran for like 900-something yards, 16 touchdowns last year. He had 61 total touchdowns. 61 total touchdowns, Ryder Lyons, playing for Folsom this past year. So I agree. There's no wrong answer between those two. And I would say if you ask me who's number one on the board, I would say it's probably Rider Lions right now. I would say that. But ultimately, Notre Dame just saw him throw on Thursday. Brady Smigel now talking. He's coming on Saturday or coming on Friday and will be here this weekend. So I'm interested to see just kind of how everything goes, with the coaches and how he sees himself on campus and all that type of stuff in the snow. He's a California kid, right? So getting out into the snow, very interested to see this one with Smigel because it's an early one, obviously. We're talking about a 2026 kid.
Yeah, he's from the same area as one Jimmy Clawson, right? Because Newbury Park is right next to Thousand Oaks, and that's where Jimmy Clawson was from. So, hopefully he doesn't come in a helicopter, in a limo, like your boy Jimmy Clawson, but it is what it is. But
in a limo,
Malik has coached against him. He's like, I have to coach against him this year. And
sorry to hear that, Malik.
He said he's gonna tell. He said I'm gonna tell the entire defensive staff like this week is different, man.
Yeah,
this is a different kid. Because
we're
watching sophomore film. Like he has no fear.
Yep.
And he's very anticipatory with his throws.
Well, that's the crazy part too, is that we're with both these kids, we're talking about sophomores that I believe Smigel had 54 total touchdowns this year. Rider Lions had 61. And this was Rider Lions. I don't know if Smigel played as a freshman, but this was Rider Lions' first year on varsity. He literally was not a varsity player as a freshman. And then he came out and then had 61 total touchdowns this year. Like, what, man? What? And they were out to see Rider Lions this week. They were out to see Brady Smigel. They were out to see Troy Hune is another quarterback out of California that they took a look at. So, yeah, man, they're looking around, brother. They're looking around. And I meant, again, what's this mean for Smigel? We're not really sure yet. We're not really sure. The throwing session could have completely changed the narrative on who the top quarterback is moving forward. And maybe he has a great visit this weekend and he becomes their guy. I'm not really sure. But either way, it's great to have a high caliber quarterback like that in 2026 to come so early. It's great. So that's the offensive recruiting class, folks. The key targets that are going to be on campus this weekend for Junior Day. We're going to get a defense next. Before we do, hit that like button for us, my man. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. If you are listening to us on one of your favorite podcast platforms, subscriptions there, 5-star reviews. You go to Burs.com. I don't like to toot my horn too much, but there's been a lot of intel that's been put out this week on the visits that these kids have been getting from these coaches to their prospective schools. So make sure to tap in here at Burs.com, and we'll see you on the other side here on the Irish Breakdown podcast. All right, Sean. So let us now go into defense. Defense for Junior Day this weekend for the University of Notre Dame. As we mentioned before when we started this conversation, 12 of 14 commits for Notre Dame will be on campus, which is great because you're literally only missing. Let me make sure I'm doing the math here right. Yeah, so Josiah Key is the only defensive player that committed players in the 2025 class that will not be on campus. So if you're talking about selling it, I mean, Christopher Burus will be out there. Davion Dixon is braving the cold from Florida to be out there. CJ May out of Alabama is braving the cold. You have Ivan Taylor coming down from Florida. Like, you have your dudes coming down, and you also have, Sean, some dudes defensively that are going to be on campus this weekend. Absolute dudes. Let's start with the guy that Notre Dame is probably in the best spot right now out of all these guys, defensive line-wise. Damian Shanklin, who's Indianapolis, Indiana, Warren Central. Warren Central, of course, is the former high school of Irish great Shelton Day. So there's a little bit of a relationship there. Literally, when Damian was offered by Notre Dame, I asked him about, just his opinions on Notre Dame early and like that type of thing. And apparently he has a little bit of a relationship with Sheldon. At least he knows a lot about Sheldon. He's like, oh, Shelton Day went there and Warren Central and blah, 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 blah. Like he knew that, right? He knew that history. Sean, again, we're talking about a 6'4", 6'5", 230+ pound, twitched up, athletic pass rusher, Viper type in Notre Dame's defense. Notre Dame's done a great job here. I think that he liked Notre Dame from the jump, sort of, but I think that Notre Dame is just consistently just planted this in his mind, man. Like, you're the guy, you're the guy, you're the guy. Stay home, stay home, stay home. And they're in a position where you could close the deal this weekend. I think you have a chance with Damian Shanklin. Regardless, Notre Dame is the front runner for Damian Shanklin today, and I think they have a chance to really cement things this weekend potentially.
I love this kid, man. I
I
remember
remember you texted me about him the first time. Remember? Yeah.
because I literally had gotten emails from people like, yo, have you heard about this kid? Have you heard about this kid? And all of a sudden, the relationship with Notre Dame jumps up and we hear about it. And I watched the film and I'm like, oh. I'm like, yeah, you have to get this kid. But I think we're seeing that, right? Like Notre Dame has recognized, in my opinion, you know what? We do have to, as the power in this area, we have to dominate Indiana.
Yep.
The best players have to come to Notre Dame, and we have to dominate Chicago. Like those are two areas where Notre Dame has to be at the forefront of the minds of the best players year in and year out. And I think that's something that we're seeing from this staff, right? With some of the visitors that are coming this weekend, whether it's, Shanklin or you started talking about Mark, it is something that, frankly, I am overjoyed. I am
Yep.
overjoyed. Like, thank you. Thank you. Because everybody wants to say, well, we got to go get SEC kids. We got to go this. We got to go to Texas.
This is an SEC kid. This is an SEC kid we're talking
Yeah,
about,
but
by
it's
the
like,
way.
dude, there are SEC kids. The national champs have a first round defensive tackle that's from Maryville, Indiana.
Oh, Kenneth Grant.
Yes.
There are two
And
star defensive tackles because the Mason Graham kid's
the
a
Mason Graham
stud, by the
kid.
way. The other one,
Yes.
he's a Servite, California kid, and
Yeah.
then you got a Maryville, Indiana kid. Yeah. So you're right, man. From all
So
over.
there is
You can find
talent.
him. You can find him.
There is talent on a yearly basis. I mean, Drake Bowen came from Indiana. I mean, the best players in Indiana can play pretty good football at Notre Dame, right? Bronte Johnson is a pretty good player. He's going to be pretty good in our estimation at Notre Dame. So just the fact that it seems like the urgency is there to put a fence around the area surrounding Notre Dame, even if you extend that up to Wisconsin and maybe a little bit further west to St. Louis, the urgency is there. Like they get it. Like if we can get the best out of these areas, the program is going to be pretty great from a recruiting standpoint. You can kind of set the floor of the program, and then you can have some of the other talented defensive guests and visitors that are coming in that might not be inside that area. Add them to the mix, and now you're cooking with grease. But Damian Shanklin, look, he speaks for his film speaks for itself. I would do this young man no justice in trying to describe his film. Anything you want to see from a defensive player, you get it.
He's pretty good, man. Yep.
Destructive play, physical play, tackles for loss, sacks, run game, pass game. It is there.
You could drop him in any state in the country, and he would be that guy, right? He would be that guy.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone, a source, Sean, pretty close to the program, and there's some people out there that are just like shocked that like a couple other schools, like the Alabamas of the world, are not going after a Damian Shanklin. Like they're shocked about it because they look at him and they just say that kid can play anywhere, like anywhere. The power should be going after him, and for some reason, he's got a really good offer list regardless. But like some people are surprised his offer list isn't even a little bit higher, like a little bit higher. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Shanklin's a big one because Shanklin is kind of viewed, I'm kind of reading between the lines here, but he's kind of viewed, in my opinion, by the staff as the missing piece to a tremendous defensive line group. Because I already mentioned it, man. CJ May's on campus, right? Christopher Burgess is on campus. Davion Dixon's on campus this weekend. Dominic Kulak, if you want to throw him at defensive end, I still consider him a different type. Like he's a hybrid player. I don't really consider him just a defensive line. But man, if they're able to get Damian Shanklin to combine with Christopher Burgess and CJ May and all the, and I forgot Joseph Reef too, right? You throw Joseph Reef in there. That's a dang good defensive line group, man. That's really, really good. So yes, it's going to start with Damian Shanklin this week up front. If we move to the second level, Sean, this is a fascinating conversation there's one huge linebacker target that's going to be on campus. That's if you've been following over at Burs.com, I reported on Wednesday that this player was planning a visit, was not cemented at that point. Thursday night, I put out another post that Bradenton, Florida, IMG Academy linebacker Nathaniel Wu will be making the trip to Notre Dame. It has been signed, sealed, cemented. He is heading to Notre Dame this weekend. Sean, first time in South Bend. First time. Big time linebacker. Rated as the number 19 player in the country by rivals. Of course, people are going to know his brother, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who's a pretty good player for Notre Dame. Pretty good player.
I'd say all-pro player in the NFL.
Yes, yeah. Pretty good football player, man. All-American is all.
So that's a check, right? Can they develop me? Can I develop into a big-time player in the NFL? Oh, got that check. It's actually brother. Yeah.
Yep. And so, and the funny part was Jeremiah was a 3-star, right? 3-star, developed into an All-American. This kid, Nathaniel Wu is considered that dude right this second. And if you watch his film, freak show, man. 6'2", 215 pounds, can move, can flat out run, powerful kid. I mean, he started his high school career at DeMatha Catholic. Now he's playing down at IMG. Kid's a stud, man. Absolute stud. I talked about this last week on the show before this was ever cemented. I just didn't think that this was even a tangible one for Notre Dame because, hey, Nathaniel says all the best things about Notre Dame, but he's never been to campus. Not once. He's a Maryland kid that's playing in Florida. He's never been to campus. I don't care who his brother is. Never been there. Well, he's coming, Sean. So it must be real. It must be real. Again, I'm not saying just for him becoming this weekend means that Notre Dame is the leader and they have a legitimate, I'm not saying that. But it was a huge step overall for them to even get Nathaniel Wu to come to campus. From here now, you have the opportunity to knock his socks off, man. You have the opportunity to show him that Notre Dame is the place to be. You have an opportunity this weekend now to move the needle with one of the elite linebackers in 2025. A young man that knows about Notre Dame, knows about the lineage, but now he gets to experience everything firsthand for himself.
I hope Joker comes with him. I hope Joke comes with him, man. I really do. He's not in the playoffs anymore, so.
It would be a great tactical approach by Notre Dame to make sure that JOK is there as well. It would be a great opportunity by them to make sure as well. Yes.
My fanboy is starting to jump up. Plaxico Burs, possibly Joke. I might want to drive down, right? I might want to drive down and see some of these guys. But no, seriously. I can't wait to hear the reports coming out of this weekend. But it is really setting up to be a fantastic weekend for Notre Dame. It really is.
Yep.
It really is. To make great strides and gain commitments possibly over the weekend for some of the top players. This kid is a top 50 player in the nation. We're talking about top 50 in the nation.
Yep.
And he's coming here in the winter.
Yes,
right.
He's a Maryland kid. Maryland's kind of seasonal, right? Like it can get cold in Maryland, guys. I'm a New Jersey guy. It can get cold in still. I would still call Maryland Northeast, right? Like it's still up there. But he moved down to Florida, man. Like usually guys move down to Florida, they don't come back, right? Like that's usually where you end. So
I understand his roots are DeMatha, right? So DeMatha has sent players to Penn State, Alabama, Georgia. So,
but not to Notre Dame, Sean.
Not to Notre Dame.
To Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Not really to Notre Dame.
Notre Dame has come close. They've been in the top 3 over the last. Yeah.
Hey, man, I don't know what's going to happen with this recruitment, but one, getting him on campus is big time. Big time.
I agree.
Now you have an opportunity. You would not have had this opportunity otherwise. Notre Dame has bought themselves, the Notre Dame staff has bought themselves an opportunity this weekend with the Nathaniel Wu. You have the chance to show him this place you need to be, my man. You need to be here. You need to be here. They have the opportunity. Let's talk about a couple corners on campus. We already reported in the beginning of the show that Devin Williams, unfortunately, will not be able to make the trip due to some travel issues. But there are two other corners, Sean, that Notre Dame loves and Notre Dame is super high on and would be takes for Notre Dame's today if they wanted to come. One, priority recruits too. I would classify them as that as well. One is Dallas Golden, Tampa Bay, Florida, Berkeley Prep. Same high school as Keon Keeley, which is going to bring back some negative memories to Notre Dame fans, but it's okay. It's okay. I promise you guys, it'll be all right. And then Mark Zachary, who is Indianapolis, Indiana, Ben Davis, who might have a guest on in a little bit here, Sean, that may have actually seen Mark Zachary in person this season. So we'll ask about a little intel there. Right? Yeah. We'll ask a little intel. Notre Dame loves Dallas Golden. Dallas Golden could play safety on the college level. He could play corner. He could play wide receiver. He could be a Wildcat quarterback. He can be wherever the heck he wants to be. He's a great athlete. Mark Zachary has played corner at Ben Davis. He's played wide receiver. He's played safety. You have two high-level athletes on campus this weekend, Sean. Let's start with Dallas Golden. Dallas Golden has already been to campus. This will be his third time coming to Notre Dame as a Florida kid. So obviously, there's interest there. There's high-level interest. He's another player that I would say Notre Dame leads for today, in my opinion. They lead for today. What needs to happen this visit? One, you need to continue that momentum, continue it. And then two, I think you have an outside chance of closing the deal. Like, it's possible, man. It's possible. Notre Dame has a good chance at Dallas Golden, I think.
I totally agree with you, man. It's a great kid. Love his versatility. We talked about it earlier, and I'll just reiterate, man. This defensive back haul at cornerback and safety in 25 is already impressive with the commitments they have. But the guys that they're locked in on right now and the way the recruitments are going, they seem to be trending very well. You throw on a Jadon Blair and what could possibly be with him. Yeah. But Dallas Golden, like you said, man, where do you even see him playing? Because I'm sure the kid probably is going to get a little bit bigger. He's long.
Yes. Well, I was going to say, Sean, I just interviewed Dallas for a visit preview, and he had said, corner, right? Like cornerback is where Notre Dame sees him. But they've also told him a little bit of like, you may play some wide receiver too. Like you might be able to do some stuff. So like he's an athlete, right? But I think Notre Dame sees him as a corner, but like he can do a lot of different things as well. So Dallas Golden, big time player coming to Notre Dame this weekend. Can Notre Dame close the deal? It's possible. Another one, and I was joking. Actually, I think I'm going to bring him in now. Carson, are you ready? Are you ready, Carson Hobbs? Are you ready now? Let's go, man. So joining us, Irish Breakdown Podcast.
What's up, K Hobbs?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
What's up, brother? Good, man. We're going to start the mailbag in a couple minutes, Carson, but I wanted to bring you on because we're actually doing a visit preview for the Junior Day this weekend, right? So we're doing the Junior Day preview, and Mark Zachary's going to be back this weekend, Carson. And I know,
I heard.
I know you know about Mark Zachary, man. Tell Notre Dame fans, what did you think about Mark Zachary in person?
Oh, he's a great player. He's got great speed, great length. He's a great kid too. I talked to him after the game. He's a great player, 100%.
All right. So Mark Zachary will be in campus at Notre Dame. We'll see if Notre Dame's able to close the deal. They are in a good spot with Mark Zachary to continue their trend of high-level cornerback recruiting that Mike Mickens has done over the last couple years. There's no doubt about it. You also have Corey Costner who's going to be on campus. He's a Perry Hall, Maryland high school safety. Not a ton of buzz there. Notre Dame's in a pretty good position, 2025 safety recruits. But, folks, we're going to get into mailbag next. Got Carson Hobbs join us for a special mailbag today, so make sure you get your mailbag questions in the chat right now. We're going to transition there in a second. Before we do, hit that like button for me. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, the notification bell at the bottom of the screen on YouTube. If you all are listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, 5-star reviews are always very much appreciated. And also the support over at Burs.IrishBreakdown.com for us all here on the Irish Breakdown Podcast. All right, folks, let's get going into a little bit of a mailbag action. Again, I got my boy Carson. Carson, while we let people get some more questions in here, man, how's your off-season going so far, man? Everything's going. Oh, we lost him. No, there he is. No, he is. Oh.
I just had a phone call for some reason. But like you were saying, my off-season actually going great right now. I'm actually, can I put on Do Not Disturb real quick? Yeah, let me.
Yeah, do it, man. Dude,
Yeah,
go.
I don't
Do not
gotta get
disturb me. Come on.
no. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Yes, like I was saying, so pretty brutal. I'm boxing 3 times a week and training 2 times a week, and I actually just got my Notre Dame workout plan. So what I'm supposed to be doing, everything they're doing right now. So I got to kind of switch that up into my day-to-day training. But I would definitely say it has been a different type of grind. You know what I mean? Trying out not really a side hobby, but something that you want to be able to not really punish yourself, but prepare yourself for the worst. So that's why I hopped into boxing. The foot and hand speed is increased insanely in the 7 weeks I've been going, and the conditioning and working we do is I've never like I've never thrown up so much in workouts before, but I felt like if I want to be able to prepare myself to be the best player I can be, I'm only going to be there by pushing my limits and really seeing what I can take and what I'm ready for. So I understand that playing at Notre Dame, playing at a high level of football, what better way is there to test yourself than doing the hardest other, thing you could possibly be doing right now? And that was boxing
Yep.
for me. So I'm not going to get into sparring or any of that, but I do know, doing the bags every day and all the drill, hold the gloves up, jump roping 25 minutes a day when I go on there. And then the workouts are just killer and they're crazy. But I needed it, though. I needed it. It's fun, do it alone. And it's like you get no motivation really in there because when you're working so hard and you're getting to a point where you're exhausted and you're tired, I feel like that's when you find out who you are as a person. You understand what I'm saying? I feel like there's no better way to look forward and see the future ahead of you when you can't right now, right? I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I don't want to do this every day. But why you do it? Because eventually hard work will pay off. Now, hard work does not always guarantee success, but it does guarantee greatness. And that's just the way I look at it.
Double R. Have you ever sparred for 3 minutes?
I
No,
I
have
don't
not.
think people. I don't think people understand that 3 minutes is a long time, my brother,
oh,
in
it
a
is,
boxing
but
ring.
they do something like it though. You got to switch over different trainers. They come in with the pads, boom, 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 and that's a 3 minute count. They got that 3 minute timer right in the wall, so you
Yeah,
don't hear nothing but the timer, nothing.
yeah, it
Man.
is. So the technique, because you're in a very technical position, playing defensive back, right?
Yep.
The tech. I've heard professional athletes talk about trying their hand at boxing and how much it has broken them down just from a technique standpoint of learning how to do it, not just fight. Well, you play fight and fight. Everybody thinks they have great hands, right? But then you actually learn the game and the sweet science, as they call it. And it's like the technical side to it. Compare that to being technically sound as a defensive back.
Well, I would say this as a defensive back, when you strike your hand at somebody off the line of press, where you touch them at and how hard you do it is so crucial to timing. Because I think, majority of people know quarterbacks and receivers have certain timing when they run hitches, goes, or slant routes. It's like 1, 2, 3, boom. As a DB, in my mindset, how can I throw off your timing to the point where I can put myself in a position to make a play on the ball? So when you get into boxing, right, and you're analyzing and you're looking, it slows down football game for you because your hand speed becomes so much quicker that when I'm lining up against you, I've seen the quickest punches being thrown, having to dodge quick, having to do all that quick. My reaction time is what I gain from boxing. So when I learned how to strike so fast to the point where you could do a triple step move, but I know at the exact point my hand-eye coordination is good enough from doing all this where I can strike you directly on your shoulder and slow it down, or I can get you on the chest. But that's why I joined boxing, to be able to be so much more professionally coordinated to the point where it's not really a guessing game no more. It's I really know where I'm going to strike, and I know when the right time to do it is. It's perfect.
I love that, man. I love that. Is it
Right?
is it snowing down there right now, man? Is Ohio snowy right now?
And crazy today. But I mean, it's actually
Is it?
gotten way better. But
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's
no,
not
but
too bad.
this morning it was crazy. We got school called off today because the
Oh,
roads. It was like 4 inches of snow.
Yeah. Same thing here in Jersey, man. We're at like 4 or 5 inches right now. So
That's
we're
usual for
like
y'all. For us, I mean, snow is usual, but 4 to 5 for us is like crazy.
Well, we've had two. Sean, I don't know if you've had this, but like we've had two very mild winters in back-to-back years. Like we haven't had a ton of snow the last couple of years, so it's been a little different.
Yeah,
Here.
because you have to realize what on Christmas Day here in Chicago it was almost 55 degrees.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So there, it's been unseasonably warm the last couple of winters, and like you said, we'll get a really, really bad 2 weeks maybe in March, which is crazy. It'll be like the end of March coming into springtime, and you're expecting it to get warm, and then here comes this blizzard, and you're like,
Except
"Oh, where did this come from?" Well, you have to pay for it. Eventually, it's coming. It just happens to come at a different time.
When we used to transition into outdoor track, the first year, every single year, it felt like there was snow on the track. And it was just like, I guess we're going to go do something else here.
Yeah. Right. The first week of baseball games are always canceled. Always.
Yes.
Because we're supposed to start in March. Field is too wet. It's swamped. It's bad. But I was very intrigued by hearing. See, that's commitment there, man, to the game. That's committed to your craft and to your game. What Carson was talking about, like that just shows the level of commitment. Like, I want to be great. And in order to be great, these are the things that I have to do to make sure that I'm on the path to success. It doesn't guarantee that I'm going to win every time, but gosh darn it, I'm going to be successful at what I want to do. You love hearing that from young people. I do. I love hearing that from young people, man. So I applaud you putting in that work because I know I've sparred, my brother. I've sparred in a boxing ring, and for some reason, I allowed myself to get talked in sparring in the octagon. I don't know how I got talked into that, but hey, 3 minutes.
It ain't no joke.
No joke.
None.
You got the next question? All right. All right, man. Illinois Irish 82, thank you for the question in the mailbag. Man, Carson is on the show so much I be going to have to start saying it.
I gotta be the most well-known member on here of the class. I gotta be.
You know what? I have one more for you. But before we get to this from Adam Blair, bro, July 12th, you're going to be in a video game, fam. How does that feel?
Yeah, that's going to be different.
Feel?
It feels great. The only thing I'm tripping about is my overall. Because, I'm just worried about my overall. But at the same time, I get the chance to play literally with myself as DB, which I'm going to be using myself every time. I don't think there's a cooler way to do that. I think that's amazing.
Are you going to change your attributes?
Oh,
if you don't like your overall,
I'm going to change them. If I don't like my attributes, I'm going to change them what I believe they are.
Okay. All right. Let's get to these questions. Adam, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, or I'm going to just wait till the season and then show myself.
Yeah. Adam Blair, thank you for the mailbag question. Ryan, have you been able to watch Ryder Lyons or Brady Smigel? If so, who at this point in their careers would you say have the edge? I think they're both 5-star quarterbacks. Brady Smigel will be on campus for Junior Day. Ryder Lyons, the staff went out there to Folsom, the same high school that former Notre Dame wide receiver Rico Flores came from. And they checked both of those guys out. The staff, Mike Denbrock, Marcus Freeman, and everybody. Mike Brown, I believe, is there along with Mike Mickens. And they watched both of these kids throw from the 26th class, Ryan. So Adam wants to know, who would you take? They're both 5-stars in his opinion.
I mean, I would be good with either way. And sorry about that, folks. My computer was just like, your internet sucks right now. Get out of here. So that happened there. But I think that for me, Sean, I think we talked about it, but I don't know if there is there a wrong answer there? I don't know if there's a wrong answer. Who would I prefer? I think slightly Ryder Lyons, but I don't know if there's a wrong answer there. I don't know.
It's all about preference, right? It's all about preference. Put it like this. We literally can say that Ryder Lyons is more Deuce Knight. Yep. And Smigel is more CJ Carr. If you really look at style of play.
Yeah.
So it's really about preference. It's really about preference. Every quarterback is different. Both of them can make plays off schedule. One might be perceived as being more athletic. But one of the things that impressed me about Smigel as a sophomore is his manipulation of the pocket.
Yeah, it was really good.
You watch the way he moves, and his footwork is Absolutely, because Malik tells me Malik bangs this into my head all the time when we're watching quarterback play on film. Like Sean Carson just talked about this with the time in between a while. He said, Sean, if you play quarterback and you have slow feet, that's not helping you.
No.
He said, as a quarterback, you have to have quick feet because that's your time. As soon as you hit that back foot, bam, you need to make a decision. You need to let it go. And he has some of the quickest feet as a sophomore. And we already talked about he's Smigel. We're talking about he's fearless. He feels like he can throw the ball, thread the ball into whatever area he needs to get it to. Already as a sophomore. But then
y'all making me want to watch this film.
Oh, watch this film, Carson. You're gonna be impressed. Please, and then hit us and let us know what you think.
Yes,
I gladly will. I gotta watch this film
because we watched Rider Lions. Both of us watched Rider Lions the same day and hit each other like, oh, okay,
yeah,
all right,
kick and play.
And then Brady Smigel reported that he was coming out after they watched him on Wednesday. He's flying out for Junior Day, which is impressive. Like, yo, they just met with you Wednesday. You're flying out.
2026 kids, by the way, Carson. We're talking about sophomores right now, man. We're talking about sophomores right now.
So they're not stopping. Like, you walk in with CJ, Deuce is coming behind him. And when you see these two kids, it's like, okay, this quarterback room is about to be insane if they land either one of these kids. So Adam Blair, it's a toss-up. It really is about preference. Like, you can't lose with either one of these kids. You really can't.
All right, let's do this so we don't keep Carson too long, Sean. We'll bang out all the recruiting questions afterwards. Let's get into some Carson Hobbs-centric questions, man. They got questions for you, Carson. This is like a Q&A here for Carson Hobbs. So we had Ida Benami who says, mailbag for Carson. What was the main selling point for you to come to Notre Dame?
Education, for sure. Education. I understand. I think everybody talks about it, right? You get a career in the injury. You always want to know where you're going to be in the next 20 or 30 years in your life and, you know, what type of jobs you'll be working. No disrespect to any SEC or ACC or Big Ten school. I just believe that, you know, the tradition here and the connections with being able to supply yourself just in case something does happen. You know, eventually football ends for everybody one day. It's what do you want to do when you're done? And, you know, anything I believe that I can achieve my dreams with, I just feel like Notre Dame has all the opportunities for me. So that was very simple for me.
Love it, man. And then we had Ant VR that just had asked, Hobbs not an early enrollee. Not an early enrollee. I think that's a school thing, right? Archbishop Moore doesn't allow.
Very much so. It's insane what we got to do.
So two-part question on that follow-up. One, how jealous are you of the early enrollees that are there, the 15 guys that are there, and have you been able to keep tabs on them to see how they're doing so far?
Yeah, I talk to Aeneas every day, and jealous. I'm like, do I want to be there yet? Of course, but at the same time, it's like, well, it is what it is. I can't even change it. So my mind is just like, I try to work as hard as they do every single day while I'm at home, since I can't be up there visually watching. That's why I'm grateful we just got our workout plan. So I'm just working on that and trying to literally keep up day by day on exactly what they're doing, same schedule and everything.
I'm gonna have to get some insight into Coach Lindau, right? And is now your strength and conditioning coach. So that's gonna be fun, man. Next question here. We had Jason Smith said, who is the best wide receiver Carson has ever went up against?
Anthony Brown. He was a receiver from Springfield. He went on to play at UK. That was my most fun matchup ever.
What year was he, Carson? Is he a 2023 kid or was he
Yeah. He's going into his sophomore year at UK, so he's 2023. But that matchup right there, you know, state semifinals, you got everybody watching TV or anything. That was an amazing matchup. That was fun.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen some good guys too, man. I mean, you've seen a lot of guys that are more corners on the next level, but like you saw Aaron Scott this year, I know a little bit, right? Obviously, we talked about Mark Zachary. There's another question that I'll actually get to next, I think, because I think the person may have missed our conversation. Actually, no, wait. Yeah, we'll skip that one for now. So let's go to the next one, Carson. So we had Andy Milton fan says, Carson, who would you say is the leader or leaders of your class?
Definitely the QB. Probably, I would say, just Just naturally, like, you know what I mean? Like any guy we see now, even in the group chat, like CJ usually initiates if people want to go throw or head up to the field. Majority of the time we look in the chat. So he definitely is, I would say, the class leader.
By default, right? Quarterback has to be that leader.
Yeah, you gotta be. I feel like, you know, your team, all eyes on you, man.
Mm-hmm.
But he's done a great job. Great job.
Yeah. Yep. I heard he's doing a great job so far already there up in campus. So high expectations. Next one, Saints for Irish. Hey, Carson, would you try the Bengals bounce as a Notre Dame student? I don't know what Bengal bounce is. I don't know if you
I don't know either.
Sean, do you know what that is? The Bengal bounce?
No.
Never heard of that? Okay. Saints for Irish. Put it in the chat, Saints for Irish, and then we'll be able to come back to it because I'm not sure what the Bengals bounce is either. So maybe we'll get a little context there. We had Archer 452. He's actually an Ohio State fan, but he's a good friend of the chat, Carson. So he says, Carson, as the local IB Ohio State fan, who is your best friend on the Ohio State roster?
It is definitely Malik, but we had Kai Stokes come in there. He decommitted from Ohio State and went to UC. We were just training last night, so he's actually pretty cool. I got to meet him yesterday and train with him for the first time. He was currently at Ohio State.
The place that you train, don't you train with Latham Ransom too? Isn't he part of that? Yeah.
Latham will be back down there probably soon, actually, with Malik.
Yeah.
Malik's a dude too, right? Guys, where do you think Caleb Downs is going?
There's a variety of reports, right, Sean? So I mean, some people early on were saying Ohio State. I was kind of leaning Ohio State because I know he liked Ohio State a lot, and then now some people are saying Georgia. So I'm not really sure, man. I'm not really sure.
That kid's a baller.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I wish he would come to Notre Dame, but you know, that's another conversation.
He literally controls. This young man literally controls who will have the best secondary in the country.
Yeah.
Yes,
like his decision, if he goes to Georgia, him and Starks on the back end, bananas, right? You put him with Sonny and linebacker and that crew at Ohio State, bananas. Like it's like
he's gonna be side by side with Ransom.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
That's crazy.
That's cool.
That's crazy. Cool. If he comes to Notre Dame, we said this. If he comes to Notre Dame and it's
with Xavier,
Benjamin, and Xavier, that's the best secondary in the country.
Yes,
hands down. He literally, wherever he goes, he would solidify that spot as the best secondary in the country.
Yeah, that's insane.
And Jade Mickey too. Throw Jade Mickey into that Notre Dame conversation too. It's like, dang man, that's a crazy secondary. That's crazy, man. All right, we had John DeSico DeCriscio, excuse me, just said, I hope Carson is the biggest surprise of the 2024 recruits. I know there's a lot of big fans of you here. Yeah.
I appreciate that. We're working to be that.
We had Sean O'Shea, who just said, Carson has a career as an analyst after football. What is his planned majors? What are you planning to major in?
I want to get 2 degrees. I want to do business and I want to do the one on broadcasting so that analyst / being able to call games actually can become a reality one day.
You're getting a lot of good early practice on it, my friend. You're getting a lot of good early practice on it, which is good. Yeah. Very, very good. We had this one, I believe. Actually, wait. All right, here we go. This is from Mr. Sanders, which is for you. Obviously, you're not going to be there in the spring, but let's work on a fall assumption here instead. Which wide receiver are you most excited to go up against in the fall?
Y'all know that. Everybody knows that. Logan Saldate.
Is that number one over Cam?
Yeah. I want to go up against Logan. That's my boy. We talk literally every single day over the phone. So, but I'm definitely excited for that. Yeah, I look forward to that. Crazy.
Oh gosh, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a lot of fun. You got Cam too. You got Micah Gilbert. I mean, there's a lot of good wide receivers in that class too, man. So you guys gonna have some good times. Let's go, Andy Milton fan, another one, and we'll finish up on Carson in a couple here. If or when adversity comes, what do you think will be the thing that makes the portal not an option?
This is for you directly. Yeah, work ethic. I definitely say my work ethic. I think portal is the easy way out for a lot of people because it's easy to go transfer to a school, guaranteed playing time. But I feel like to see, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong for that. Sometimes the portal truly is the best option for some people, but I believe you got to start at where you finish it. I mean, you finish where you started at, and regardless of the situation, no matter what school I go to, like I mentioned earlier, that degree standpoint, it's like, all right, like you see Tyler Buckner, and who's the other dude that transferred in? It's
Drew Pine. Drew Pine came back.
Yep, you know what I mean? Coming back to get that degree. But, I hope I work hard enough and I can be blessed and not sustain any injuries where I won't ever have to even worry about that. So, honestly, my work ethic and, how bad do I want it will determine. It will make the portal not an option for me. I feel like it's every day is just me versus me. If I want, the best things for myself, my biggest enemy is myself. Determining on what I want to do. I got to compete every single day, even when nobody's around. So,
love it. Love it. We had one from Jason Smith. You already answered a part of this, Carson, so we'll just hit the other part. Carson, who is the best wide receiver you ever gone up against? You already answered that one. And best wide receiver quarterback combination. So who's wide receiver quarterback combination?
I would definitely say Springfield won again, but Center Grove, they had a good QB. Center Grove had a really good QB.
Tyler Cherry, right? Going to Duke. Or actually, he flipped, right? He's going to Indiana now, I believe.
Really?
Do I remember that?
Yeah.
I didn't know he flipped. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
because he left when Mike Elko went down to Texas A&M. I think he flipped to Indiana, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go to, man, we got a lot of great questions for Carson here, Sean. We get a little bit of break in the background from talking, man. I like this. I like this a lot. We would have that Carson just to run the mailbags all the
Every
time.
week, right.
IL Irish 82. Does Carson play a spring sport? Is all training at football at this point?
Yeah, so I'm still gonna run track, but I don't know if I'm gonna. I'm still debating what I want to do with it because, like I said, I did just get this workout plan today. I want to make sure I'm staying strong and staying fast as possible. That's why I'm gonna do all the practice for track. Still gonna run it, but I love the boxing aspect of it too because I'm in the best shape of my life right now. Like I'm in better shape than I would be. Around the same shape I would be for track in this 7 weeks. So I don't know, but I'm definitely going to run track. I'm definitely going to be training football, and I'm definitely going to be boxing. So if it'll be all three, it'll just be miserable, but I'm definitely doing I'm trying to do it all.
I love it, man. Well, I think track did a lot of good use for you, though, didn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I think you really unlocked your speed with it. So
yeah.
Michael with the question for Carson. I think we got 3 more for you, Carson. We'll let you get out of here. Question for Carson. Sorry if I already asked, but are you a talker on the field or are you an action speak louder than words kind of dude?
So surprisingly, I really
don't lie.
I keep my mouthpiece in and I wear a ski mask, so I hardly talk. On the field, I really don't talk. But I feel like when I'm playing, I got too much respect for the game. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm lining up against you. I really don't have a reason to speak to you because the plays that I make will determine what is really being said on the field. So, off the internet and online, yeah, I'll jokingly talk, trash and stuff. But when I actually get on the field, I really don't talk a lot. I just lock in and play and focus on my calls and my plays.
So what you're saying is when you get there in the fall and your first rep against Logan Saldate is a pass breakup or an interception, you're not saying anything.
Oh,
no.
After a play, it's different. But I mean, back and forth the whole game. I really I had 13 PBUs this year. I will say this. On majority of them, if it wasn't somebody that like me and him really was talking trash to each other during the game, like he grabbed my face mask, I don't really say too much, but I will celebrate always with the team, and I'll do my own celebration. But like Lakota West, their receiver, me and him, he was chopping it up with me before the game. Their school texted me. I had fake accounts DM me on IG. You gonna get cooked, woo woo. So out of respect for me and Moeller, I had to say something. I couldn't and he was talking to me during the game, telling me he was gonna cook me. So I feel like that was a situation where it was like, all right, well, you got me in this mode right now, or I already then clamped you the whole game. I gotta start talking. But after the game, though, I told him it was always all love because I really don't like talking like down on people. But when we are lining up against each other, you know what I mean? I'm scared of karma. That's why I like to watch what I say. I'm scared of karma. But at the same time, we're both competing. If you say something to me first, I'm going to make sure I get my get back.
So we had someone who just wanted to know. It is from Michael Parks. Carson, what number do you want?
Well, obviously, I don't know if you guys, number 3 would be the ideal. But if I definitely could get any other number than 3, it would be 13 because that's what I started my freshman and sophomore year at Moeller as. And I feel like that would just be a remake of my career. Go 13 for the first 2 years and then maybe get 3 my junior and senior year. So you never know. And then my last one would be Dion, obviously 21.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
That's the last.
All right. We had Jeff Fluke who wanted to know, Carson, what is your go-to late night snack and what is the best Uncrustable flavor?
Okay, best Uncrustable flavor is strawberry. Grape.
Great. It's definitely great. It's definitely great.
You almost had me, but it was great. What is your late night go-to snack? Lately I've been like having my mom bought these little guacamole packs, so I've been crushing chips and guac every time I think about it. And I bought some toasted strudels, so those have been hitting different. Toasted strudels and strawberry toasted strudels, they good.
Did you
Sean,
see? Did you see that video that was out and trending with Caleb Williams talking about his top 5 snacks?
Yeah.
No.
It was he threw something, the Snickerdoodle Little Bites. I had never heard of them.
Sounds good though.
I was like, wait a minute. I have to go buy these because I've never heard of these.
Now, Mr. Sean, I gotta ask, did you go and buy them?
I sure did. I sure did. Right, because his snacks, he was like trolleys. He had trolleys on there. He had salt and vinegar chips. I mean, just basic stuff, right? That you grow up like, okay. I had never heard of Snickerdoodle Little Bites.
Were they good as advertised?
Oh, yes. Top notch. Thumbs
Sounds
up.
good. I mean, I'm a big Snickerdoodle guy. I don't know about you guys, but I love Snickerdoodle. Yeah.
I was like, okay, Caleb, you got a decent taste buds, I guess.
All right. Well, at least Carson, you got it right about the Uncrustable flavor, though, man.
I just had a strawberry this morning for breakfast, bro.
I gotta go pick some up.
Strawberry's cool. I don't know. I'm just a grape guy.
Grapes is different though. After the games, we used to get grape.
How many? You have 2 after the game?
About 4.
4?
About 4?
Yeah.
Well, you be so hungry because you got to think about it. From the time you hop on that bus till the end of the game, you eat nothing. Yeah, after the games, I'd be so hungry.
4 though? 4 is a lot, man.
You can't just eat one, Ryan. You just can't have.
No, I can eat 2.
Once you start thinking about it and just like, you forget how many you eat. You just eat.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sean, are you a guacamole guy, by the way? I'm not much of an avocado.
It depends. I'm not a guac and chips guy. Okay. But like guac on like Mexican food, in portions, yeah. But I'm not just dipping chips into guac. But I'm definitely everybody in my family does that. So
guacamole is my wife's
guac
jam,
packets are big.
It's amazing
in my house. Yeah.
Yeah, she makes me make guacamole sometimes, and I don't like it, but I still make it. Yeah, just the guacamole. You have to leave them in like the brown bag for like a day or 2 or whatever to get them ripe, and then you do all that sort of stuff. Yeah. All right, we had Andy Milton fan question for Carson. Any players not coming to Notre Dame that you're still salty about?
Carter Nelson. We played so well on the OV. I was hurt, but
yeah.
I definitely was not. It sucks.
I thought Notre Dame had a great chance after the official visit, man. I thought it was going to happen, but yeah.
I thought it was too, but
his
parents, I think, were the biggest influence on Nebraska.
Yeah, there was a little people around him, definitely. I would even go a little further. He had some friends that were going to Nebraska and that type of thing too, just a lot of peer pressure around him. So is what it is. He's going to be great either way, but would have been nice if he was in the blue and gold, though. Would have been really nice.
Yeah, fun, too.
Jason Smith, is there a particular guy Carson watches to emulate his game?
I'd
Who's your
definitely
guys?
say, well, I mean, obviously Jalen Ramsey is just his confidence and his play style, his swag. He's one of the only corners in the game I believe really likes to hit. So that's something I role model. But technique and footwork, surprisingly, well, not really surprisingly, to me, it's Denzel Ward. I just love his technique. I think his technique off the line is just so, like, it's so hard to match his footwork and imitate it. But Sauce Gardner at the line also has a beautiful kick step. And most people step lateral. Sauce, if you watch his tape, depending on the people he goes against, when he goes against faster receivers, he steps forward first and then kicks back. Versus when he goes up to guys similar to his size, he'll be lateral stepping. So I actually took that off of his game. And I started switching my first steps off the line depending on the receivers I go against. So, usually with faster guys, you got to get out of there quicker because you're backpedaling while they're running straight. So you step forward to be able to kick step backwards. And then laterally, you can go, side to side to side for a guy that'll be bigger and try to, get a bigger shake off you off the line and then go.
Have you ever talked to Coach Mickens? Because obviously I know he was the one that basically found Sauce and kind of
all the
him a little
time.
bit.
I ask him all the time.
Nice. Did you did Cincinnati recruit you at all? I mean, was that a school that was interesting at all to you, or not really?
Yeah, as just my recruiting process was just so short, and I do blame this on myself because I was dumb enough to commit so fast. Like I didn't even give my chance. It was new to me. I was new with the fam, so I would probably say like not having and being the first person to ever go Division I football in your family. Like it was just so much pressure. I had people telling me to commit here, commit there. And I just didn't even feel like, I mean, I committed at 15 years old. Like I never gave myself a chance to really experience the whole recruiting process. And then you got to think about it. Like I had Chad Bone call my phone, Freeman call my phone, and then they telling me decommit from South Carolina, commit to Notre Dame, the next call within a 30-second window. And then I post my commitment to Notre Dame the day after I decommit. It was crazy. So I never really got my chance. And I'll never forget the night where I decommitted, the amount of schools that reached out in that 8-hour period before I woke up the next morning and posted it again was unreal. It was unreal. And I never gave myself that shot. But I just thank God for being in a position I am today to be at a university like Notre Dame. So I don't really worry too much about the social media. I believe I can still prove myself just as much as any player when I get to college.
I talked, and this is not directly related to you, obviously, but I talked to a transfer portal player that entered this offseason that not Notre Dame related, didn't play at Notre Dame, isn't going to Notre Dame, but he had 40 schools call him in an hour span.
I believe it.
1 hour. 1 hour. Crazy, man. Crazy.
I believe it. But yeah, you commit to the program. So that's why I just straight up and did mine. I didn't really wait too much. And my dad, my dad.
Yes, I know your dad. Yeah.
You know my dad. So when I decommitted, you better commit right now or it's going to be a problem. So, I had to get it done. But I'm just glad to be here.
Absolutely. And last question for you, Carson, we'll get you out of here, man, is Enigma just wanted to know, Carson, is your high school still considered Ken Griffey Junior High?
Not as much because Sam Hubbard. He kind of took that role for our generation, and him being a DN going to the Super Bowl with the Bengals, like he's went crazy.
Oh, was Hubbard an Archbishop Moeller guy? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I know he was an Ohio guy. I didn't know he was an Archbishop.
He went to Moeller. Yeah, he before games sometimes I send us these little voice memos with his face in them and say like a pregame speech, and coach will play it up or something.
Wow,
nice.
He was a freak, man, because he played like safety in high school at times. Like he was wild.
He played safety at JV and then grew his senior year and went nuts and then got an Ohio State offer for lacrosse and then they offered him for football and then he went to play at Ohio State and the rest is history.
Wild. Wow. Well, Carson, we're gonna get you out of here on that, man. We really appreciate you for joining the show today. I guess I always do this, but social media handles, if you want to throw that out real quick. Guys, but by the way, before Carson gives that to you, we're not going anywhere. We got 22 more questions that are already started up, and we'll get that. We just wanted to get Carson his Notre Dame, his Carson-centric questions out because I don't want to keep them all day. But Carson, handles and all that good stuff, man.
Yes, IG is Carson Hobbs 1, like the name you'll see right there, and then my Twitter is just my name, Carson Hobbs. But I appreciate you guys for having me, and have a great afternoon.
Absolutely.
My man Carson. Have a good one, brother. Talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right, Sean. We got the Carson-centric questions out there, man. A lot of good stuff. Great kid, isn't he? I know we say it every time he comes on, but like I love that kid, man. He's such a good dude. He's such a good dude. Because it's the best part of the job, isn't it, Sean? Like I'm a big relationship guy, right? Like you.
Yeah, we both.
I don't have that relationship with every kid, obviously, but he's just a very good kid, right?
Absolutely.
And it's always fun, man. It's always fun. So let's go. Funny enough, I should have put this up when Carson was up, Sean, but we had Enigma who said, since Carson's Corner got positive reviews, is there any chance to get a Deuce's Corner, or is he too Hollywood for us? More likely too busy for IB, right? A Deuce's Corner would be fun. I haven't I don't know. Haven't given much thought.
I don't think it's because he's Hollywood.
It's not a Hollywood thing now.
It depends. I mean, he might not be the type of kid that likes podcasts. I mean, I don't, that comes from relationship, right?
Yes.
The relationship with Carson led to, Carson's Corner. And if the relationship gets to the point with Deuce, well, I'm sure he wouldn't have a problem coming on doing a recruiting hour.
I'm sure he would not. I mean, it might be something that we explore in the future, but the good thing is that, I mean, honestly, like if I wanted to start the reason I started Carson's Corner in general in this show, though, Sean, was that I talked to him a few times and I'm like, you have a great personality, right? Like we vibe pretty well. You have a good personality. Let's see if you want to come on the podcast and stuff. And he's a natural at it, obviously. And it's no surprise to me that Carson Hobbs is exploring the broadcast side of things when he gets to college. Is that any surprise to anyone out there? Not certainly to me. So it was just a good fit overall. I mean, could there be a Deuce's Corner at some point? Who knows? I think CJ May would be a great guy potentially to have that type of segment as well. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds, but that's why you guys need to stick tuned to the Irish Breakdown podcast, because you never know who might be on this show. You never do know. All right, Sean, let's go to. We kind of talked about this already, but Brandon Plesner had asked before the show started, Sean, what 2026 quarterbacks stick out to you and are at the top of your boards as far as the ones offered by Notre Dame? So we talked about Smigel already, Brady Smigel. We've talked about Ryder Lyons. Another kid, Noah Grubbs. I don't know if you've seen him, the Florida kid. He's very talented as well. He's got 20-something offers as well. Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation a ton already. It's Sean, it's crazy that it is January 19th in the year 2024, excuse me. And we're talking 2026 quarterbacks right now, man. That's all we got to talk. Well, it's not all we got to talk about, obviously. But Deuce obviously committed in 2025. Like, you're already done there, man. Like, it's just, who's the 2026 quarterback?
Yeah. Which is a far departure from the previous regime when it seemed like we went down to the wire every year for the quarterback room. But no, I think that's great. That's great. The excitement about the 26 kids. The board is the board, man. Dude, we talked about the two guys we talked about today are at the top of the board.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, they should be. I know Ryder definitely is. As far as what the hierarchy is after that, I mean, from there it's a question mark a little bit, I guess. But I'm just looking. I was pulling up some of the offers for 2026 quarterbacks. So as of now, set offers here. It's coming up. Yeah, so Ryder Lyons. I mentioned Noah Grubbs. He's out of Lake Mary, Florida. He's 6'4", 205. Brady Hart was offered this offseason. He's out of Florida. Jared Curtis is pretty big time. He's a Nashville Christian kid in state of Tennessee. Brady Smigel. Will Griffin is another guy too, Sean. He's out of Tampa Jesuit. He's Justin Thurman's teammate, so he's been offered as well. So it's actually a few offered quarterbacks already, which is pretty wild. Sean, I'll let you get this one out of the way. Ready? CH said, Julian Sayin to Notre Dame?
Heck no. And this has nothing to do with Julian Sayin. My question would be why?
No, I like Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin was probably a top 3 quarterback for me in 2024.
Yeah.
Like I like Julian Sayin a ton. He's a very good player. Yeah.
But why? You already have a log jam. Like the log jam is starting, like right now.
People are hyper focusing about kids portaling at some point, right? Like, oh, portal. You want to bring in 2024 quarterbacks into the equation? Like that's
You bring in
I don't
two
know.
24s, and you think Deuce Knight is not going to look at that? Like,
Right. You're not going to look at that. And then let's do the law of averages, Sean. Out of the 2024 quarterbacks, one's not going to play, right? Like
yeah,
one's not going to play. One of them's going to portal at some point. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
yeah.
So yeah, I'd like if Notre Dame didn't sign a 2024 quarterback and Julian Sayin was on the market, I'd be like, hell yeah, bring Julian Sayin to Notre Dame, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it just doesn't make sense where you are now. I mean, you have 3 straight classes of Kenny Minchie, CJ Carr, Deuce Knight. That's the pipeline right now. You have a graduate transfer quarterback in Riley Leonard. Steve Angeli's on the roster. Like you're not hurting for quarterback numbers. That would be it'd be a luxury, but I think it would also be a luxury of like potentially hurting where you are potentially.
Yeah.
Like I just don't think that would make any sense. I don't think it would make sense. Because Ohio State was a team that somebody put out there apparently, but I know Archer was talking about this in the chat earlier, Sean, and I agree with it, is that they have Aaron Nolan in their class, right? So what's the point of that? Like Julian's good, really good, right? But like,
We got some money for him in Champagne.
Yeah, I mean,
he'll never go, but I'm just saying.
Sean, let me ask you this way, right? Quarterbacks are competitive. But if you are any quarterback on a team that now is like, we're going to bring in that 2024 quarterback who has never like just fresh here.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a 2024 quarterback that's coming in as well, aren't you in your mind being like, they don't believe in me? Like they don't believe in me. That's where my mind would go personally. I mean, like, why are they bringing him in? It's not a competitive thing. Like, I mean, Aaron Nolan probably thinks he's better than Julian Sayin if that was where this situation went. I'm sure that he probably does. Yeah. But if I'm Aaron Nolan and I'm like, I was your guy the whole time, right? Like I was your 2024 quarterback. And then or not the whole time, but you know what I'm saying? Like down the stretch, he was their quarterback. And then all of a sudden, after National Signing Day, after everything, they're like, oh, let's bring in another 2024 kid. You're kind of like, excuse me?
Now, his move would probably be a team in transition.
Yes.
Maybe he looks at a Texas A&M. Maybe he looks at a Washington. Maybe he looks at an Arizona. Maybe, right? Because I'm shocked Fafita hasn't jumped in already because the San Jose State coach is the new coach of Arizona, right?
Brian Brennan or whatever his name is. Yeah.
So it's a lot of dominoes that have yet to fall that I'm expecting to fall. But yeah, I would be afraid. Who did Penn State get in 24?
Ethan Gunkermeyer, right?
Gunkermeyer?
Yeah. Gunkermeyer.
I was about to say maybe he looks at a situation where he's like, I'm not afraid to compete with those dudes.
Sure.
Maybe he's like, I look at Gunkermeyer and Drew Aller, and I'm like, okay.
Sure. Oh yeah, from Julian Sayin's perspective, if I'm Julian, I'm going wherever the heck I feel like I want to go. Right? Is that wants me because they're bringing me in for a reason. I'm saying from Georgia, the other side though, like if I'm Ethan Gunkermeyer, I'm like, wait, I was your guy this whole time. What are you talking about? What are you talking about here?
Yeah, you're only as loyal as your options, right? That's what they say.
Someone said Georgia in the chat, and that would actually make kind of a little bit of sense. Not saying it will, but like it does because for a long time, Ryan Puglisi's their quarterback. But for a long time, Raiola was also committed to Georgia. They were both committed at the same time. That was the thought of like bringing in 2 quarterbacks. So maybe he goes to Georgia because that was always the plan, right? To bring in 2 quarterbacks. That would make a little bit of sense, I guess. Man. Yeah. And
would Michigan State make sense with Jonathan Smith?
I mean,
no, because his guy came from Oregon State.
Aiden Childs came. Yeah, I don't.
But he's still, the 24 kid could go.
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy's gone, so.
Yep. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting, man. That's a very interesting very interesting conversation. So we'll see. We'll see how it ends up, man. I genuinely don't have any idea. Like, I know someone threw Ohio State out there, but I just don't think that makes sense for Ohio State. I'm not saying they wouldn't do it.
Right.
And obviously, his relationship with Bill O'Brien, but like, I don't know. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want you to react to this, Sean. Ida Benami just said, last week we said no thoughts on Nathaniel Wu Boateng until he comes to campus. Let's hope the weather lets him get to the bed.
Weather forecast the next couple of days is pretty clear as far as snow. I think the next time we get snow is Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So
he's coming, Sean. The question is,
you know, I'm
is he
always
gonna
thinking
like
about
the snow.
cancel flights, things of that nature. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Did he ever come to a game when his brother was here?
No, he's never been to Notre Dame.
Oh,
never
yeah.
been. This is his first visit ever. Yep.
Well,
which is wild.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the best way to be introduced to South Bend, in my opinion.
You're gonna hit every part of South Bend this weekend.
Absolutely.
If you can last at Notre Dame and as a football player, it's this weekend's going to test you. It's going to test you. It really is. So if you love it, you'll be there, man. If you love it, we'll be there. We'll see.
Yeah.
We had Andre Thompson who just said, "What are 2 keys to this off-season training program, Sean?" So what are a couple things you want to see out of this off-season training program?
I mean, team-wise or individual?
Let's say you can take it either way, I think. You can take it either way.
Team-wise, I would look forward to injury recovery.
Okay.
For me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I want to see from this new S&C program under Lauren Landau. I want to see improved injury recovery.
Okay.
During the camps and during the season. And then on top of that, I guess individually, just certain guys, you know, getting more what they need, more explosive at the wide receiver position. You're already explosive at running back, so a little bit more strength. Guys like Jeremiah Love pick up a little weight, keep his speed. Guys like Emil Wagner picking up weight and being able to hold it. So there's some individual things that, you know, span across all areas of picking up weight, retaining weight, gaining strength, gaining speed, you know, at every position individually for guys. But, injuries, right? I don't want to see any more 4 to 6 hamstring injuries. I just don't. I need this team to be able to recover, and I need, you know, whatever they do to help them to prevent these injuries, especially the rash of injuries they had at wide receiver last year with the hamstrings. That was an issue. That was definitely an issue. So thank you for that, Andre. 99 problems, but became one. Why visit 6 times without committing? That's wild. Like I said before, man, that's about resources, man. Right? Brady Smigel hopping on a plane, you know, on his own dime. That's not an inexpensive flight coming from California at the last minute. Trust me, I've booked over the last 4 years plenty of California to Chicago flights. At the last minute, that's not an inexpensive flight. So it's about resources, man. Kids have people and families that are fully supportive and proximity to schools. He's been to Wisconsin, 4 times? I know he's been to Michigan because he came to Michigan one trip right before he came to Notre Dame. Owen Streb. I remember that. So he's been to Michigan a couple of times, if I'm not sure. I feel like he's been to Michigan a couple of times. And he's been to Notre
he's
Dame
definitely been at least once to Michigan. Definitely at least once to Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just resources, man. That's resources, proximity, and opportunity.
Yep.
You know,
6 times is a lot, though. That's a wild number. It's a wild
how many? Because he hit what? He hit what? Two games this year. You have to think about that. How many off-season visits has he had? Because if he hits 2 or 3 games,
He did three. So he did 3 this past off season. He did 2
Mhm,
game visits and
mhm,
then back for this time. So that would be number
mhm.
6. Yep.
So
He
the
literally, I think
off-season
just,
visits,
I think he did like the Midwest swing to start it
yeah, he
out,
did that. Yeah, he did that a couple of times. Matter of fact,
got offered, went back
yeah.
to Notre Dame, got back one more time before the season, and
Hmm.
then 2 game visits. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it can add up during the process.
yeah.
It can add up, and like you said, when you have that proximity and the resources, and you can do the circuit,
Yeah.
like you said over and over again, you're hitting 2 or 3 schools every time you go out. So I actually think that's going to end up being the norm if you're like region. If you really lock in regionally,
Yep.
like Chris Burgess went to what 2 or 3 games this
He
year,
went to, I think he went to 2. Yeah. I think he went to
two.
2. Yeah.
So that's the
He's-
average, 2 to 3 games for kids, and then you add an off season. You know,
Yep.
you get up to 3 or 4 visits pretty fast. He was shocked it was 6, like you said. So
literally, literally, I have the message. He's like, I think it was something like, dang, I've been there 6 times. I'm like,
which goes to show you that he's not even aware of how much he's been in Notre Dame.
yep.
So it's just really like, yo, I can go. Oh, let's go again. Let's go again.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to Six Flags if you live in Chicago, dude. Like over the course of a summer, you like, dude, I've been to Six Flags 5 or 6 times. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Crazy number still though, man. That's a crazy, crazy number. We had Jason Smith. Now we're talking about offensive line recruiting. He just asked, so is Josh Petty not in the mix? Notre Dame's recruiting Josh Petty, Jason. But if we're talking about realistic players, I mean, right now, Will Black's committed to Notre Dame. Owen
mhm,
Streb, Notre Dame's in a great spot there. They're in a pretty good spot with Maty Augustine. And then they are pushing for Jack Lang. But they are still recruiting Josh Petty. It's just Josh Petty is in the Nathaniel Wu Boateng boat I was talking about last week. Josh Petty says all the right things about Notre Dame, Sean, but he's never been to Notre Dame. So until he makes the visit, it's just he likes Notre Dame, he says. Sure. Just
mhm,
like last year, Samson Okalola always used to tell me he likes Notre Dame. Oh, yeah, I like Notre
mhm.
Dame. Oh, you sent him a visit? Not yet. And then he never does. Right? That's how these things tend to go for guys that might like a school, but they don't have a high interest in a school. Like there's a big difference. There's a big
Mhm.
difference there. So just doesn't. It's not, I don't know if Josh Petty loves Notre Dame. We'll see if that changes, but it just is where it is. All right, so let's go to. Oh, we're going to talk a little Chicago kid here, or outskirt of Chicago, whatever. Iden Benami. Any updates on Taylor? I know Brian had him as his top wide receiver several months ago. Iden, there was a little bit of a transitional period, obviously going from Chancey Stuckey to Mike Brown. I know there has been contact to the Taylor family. I know that they would like to get Taylor back on campus. As far as I know, I don't think Talon has set up any visits in the near future overall. If you've spoken to his family or know anything about his family is very like well organized and schedules things like pretty far in advance for the most part. So Notre Dame was going to try to get him back on campus. We'll see. I'm not like genuinely. I just don't think that there's any one school that is like the school for Taylor right now. I just don't think that one exists. I think that Notre Dame is going to have to fight, obviously, and we'll see if they're able to get him back on campus this offseason. We'll see. Obviously, they'll need to get him back on campus a couple times this offseason.
There's some major players for this kid. Miami, Kevin Beard has been in Chicago. Dude, Kevin Beard is here all the time. I'll just leave it at that. He's here all
Yep.
the time in constant contact. Michigan, I think the family is even high in Michigan, but we'll watch the Harbaugh situation and the impact that might have, right? And who the new
Yep.
coach might be. Notre Dame is high on the list, but like you said, the transition at the wide receiver coach position, reestablishing contact, getting them back on campus to meet Mike Brown and do that. And there was a pre-existing relationship of communication with Mike Brown at Wisconsin,
Yep. Yep.
so that is a benefit to the situation. And then you
They
have,
did
of
have a
course,
relationship. Yep. They
yeah,
did have a relationship.
of course, Ohio State is always going to be in the mix for Midwest wide receiver. So Man, it's going to be a
Or
fight.
any wide receiver, Sean. It doesn't have to be Midwest. Any wide receiver,
You're
Ohio
right.
State's going to be in the conversation. Yeah. Ugh, gosh, they do pretty well. They do pretty well.
Yeah.
We had Bear Down Soldiers, who says, sounds like a bunch of huge offensive lineman kids at those heights. Who's playing inside, guys? So, Sean, let me give a scenario here. We'll say a Final Four ends up being Notre Dame hypothetically. We will say Will Black, Owen Streb, Maty Augustine, and Jack Lang. We'll just in this hypothetical. Who's playing inside on those two? For me, the two guys most likely to play inside, in my opinion, Jack Lang's a tackle, not moving him. 6'8", incredibly athletic, not moving him. Owen Streb, 6'8", not moving him. Maty Augustine, he kind of plays bully ball a little bit. He's a pretty physical kid. I would be okay with potentially looking at him inside. And I think Will Black could play both inside and outs. I think that he has the athleticism to play outside, but I think that he plays with good enough pad level and good enough just kind of understanding of leverage that I would say Will Black, Maty Augustine would be my most likely guys to move inside out of that four-man group. I don't know if you agree with that or not. But.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, let's go to. We had a lot of offensive line questions today. I love it. Sloppy Joe, what's the ideal offensive tackle size for an NFL tackle? I only asked because I saw Caden Proctor weighs 365 pounds, and I thought that's way too big for a tackle, yet Alt only weighs 320 pounds. Well, Sloppy Joe, there is there's a prototype, right? The prototype offensive tackle, just from a scouting terms perspective, between 6'6" and 6'7", somewhere in that ballpark, 315 to 325 pounds, and 34-inch arms or more. That's kind of the prototype. It has changed over the years, and it changes a little bit depending on what scheme. If I'm a heavy power scheme, I might be willing to have a bigger offensive tackle because, hey, I might run a little bit more PO action out of it. I might do a little bit more play action off of run looks. And I don't need a guy to vertical set a ton. I don't need him to 45-degree set a ton. So he could be a little bit more of just a power setter. So, maybe the little bit of the clunkiness or a little bit of slower feet isn't going to hurt him as much. I mean, we've seen DeJuan Jones plays starting offensive tackle for the Cleveland Browns. I know he got hurt down the stretch, but he is 6'8", 365 pounds. We've seen that type. We have also seen Michael Roos played for the Tennessee Titans. He was 6'4", 300 pounds, barely. Like, there's different body types, but typically 6'6" to 6'7", 315 to 325 pounds, 34-inch arms. That's what scouting standards typically are for offensive tackle. Typically.
Yeah.
But it's changing, Sean. I mean, we're seeing Isaiah Wynn get drafted to play tackle, who's very an outlier. There's outliers. But
is your feet.
Yes.
They don't look up top. Offensive tackle play is about the feet. If you're 360 and your feet, you're dancing like a bear, it doesn't matter what you look like up top. I would think some of the best left tackles in, like Willie Roaf was like, dude, Hall of Fame is Hall of Fame is huge. It's still Walter Jones was huge.
Yes.
As a tackle. Like,
but they can move, man.
But they can move at that. Orlando Pace was huge.
Oh gosh, yes. Jonathan Ogden was like 6'10".
Yeah. So, man, it's all about the feet at offensive tackle, man. It really is. He just retired from the Rams. He's a pretty big guy at tackle.
Oh, Andrew Whitworth.
Andrew Whitworth.
Yeah. He was Andrew Whitworth did not look like an NFL left tackle, but Andrew Whitworth was a great NFL left tackle.
Yes, he was.
Yes. Oh, Sean, this situation was funny. I was talking about it yesterday. I actually made a couple of jokes about it, but Tyler Evans with a super chat. Tyler, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. How do you get a 9th year in the NCAA?
4 season ending injuries, right?
Yeah, it was something like that. I think it was at least 3. Like, he missed. This is obviously talking about Cam McCormick, who started his career at Oregon, and he's now at Miami. So he had at least 3 seasons that were just completely lost, I believe. Like I think at least 2 that were just like no, nothing at all. And I think there were other 2 seasons where he like barely played. And so he's had a ton of injuries, man. Ton of injuries. At some point, Sean, I don't know if you agree with this because it's very unfortunate that he's had that many injuries. But at some point, aren't you just like, all right, man, like, like,
yeah.
I mean, 9 years, like 9. I don't know, man. I don't know. At some point, I was joking about it because I have a co-host on another podcast, on an NFL draft podcast, Sean, who is a professional, right? Like he works in the industry now. And he was a 2016 recruit the same year that Cam McCormick came out of high school, 2016. These were the other players that were 2016 recruits, the same year as Cam McCormick, who's going back to college for another year. Miles Sanders, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman Jr., Landon Dickerson, Nick Bosa, Brian Burns, Rashawn Gary, Derek Brown, Ed Oliver are all the same year as Cam McCormick. At some point, I think you just got to be like, Cam, sorry, man. Didn't work out the right way, but like 7 years was enough. 8 years was enough. 9 years? 9 years? My guy better have.
He loves the perks.
Sean, so here, I'm going to ask you a question. You had to go to school for 9 years. You got to go to school for 9 years, college. What is the minimum amount of degrees that you should have coming out of there to make it worth your while?
Minimum 3, right?
At least, right? I think.
You should at least be a doctorate. Minimum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Minimum.
I mean, yeah. it's wild, man. Like it is. I just
minimum masters. Minimum masters. Because you get to a certain point where, okay, you're a graduate, but you're not really going to class. Like, I don't know. You definitely should have a master's minimum. Yeah. But at that point, I mean, yeah.
I don't know what he has, but I hope, because I don't know the situation. We're gonna joke about it because it's 9 years and it's crazy. But I hope, for Cameron Corbin's sake, I hope that he took advantage of this. I hope he cashed in on all the degrees that he needs and got a free education out of it. If he did, then cool, man. Yeah. Perfect. But 9 years is a lot. It's a long time. Literally, Cam McCormick has been playing college football as long as I've been with my wife.
Wow.
That's my analysis. That happened.
Wow. The fact that you just said
next year is going to be 10 years with my wife. And literally I met my wife in 2016. Or no, wait, no, I'm completely wrong. Wait, I'm way off. Wait, why am I so off there? Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Am I completely off here, Sean?
I don't think so.
2016, no, I met my wife before that. I had to have. I don't know. I'll look back at the dates. I don't know.
Yeah,
but whatever.
I know I met mine way before you met yours. So.
Yes. But it's crazy, man. Math is hard. Shut up, guys. Shut up. Yeah, these jokesters in the chat, Sean, they think that my wife listens to this podcast. You guys are crazy. You guys are absolutely crazy if you think my wife listens to this podcast.
I don't know if my wife listens to the podcast, but she listens to me when I do the podcast.
Oh, she gets the best parts of it then.
She's like, yo, so I heard you talking about me. I'm like, okay, ear hustler. Like,
right. Hey man, she gets the best parts of the conversation. I respect it. It. David Lowe. I haven't seen David Lowe in the chat too often lately. David just said, any chance we land a 5-star in the 2025 class? Well, David, we've always talked about this, but like the 5-star thing is subjective. It could be a 5-star are we talking about 5-star on one platform? Or are we talking 5-star consensus? Are we, we have to make those parameters first. I would say this, Sean. How many players would you say have 5-star talents? I think that we can justify it that way. Would you say Deuce Knight is a 5-star talent?
Friends, yeah.
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 Trying to think of who else I would say is a 5-star-esque type of talent. I'll say this, and this might be. I don't know if people would agree with this or disagree with this. I think that Damian Shanklin, if Notre Dame lands Damian Shanklin, I think that kid has 5-star upside. I do. I think he has that type of
Yeah,
talent.
I agree with that. I agree with
Yeah.
that wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Yep. So, David, I think that they'll land a couple players, kind of just get into the nuts and bolts of the question. Like they're going to land a couple players in this class that I believe are 5-star caliber football players, right? And we just talked about Nathaniel Wu. Like, again, I'm not saying Notre Dame's going to get him, but I think he's a 5-star-esque type of player that's going to be on campus this weekend. So let's wait and see. David, I would say this. Ask me this question when Notre Dame signs its class, because this is a great conversation piece. It really is, between what are people ranking them and where do we rank them, right? Like, what do we see in them? Because there's always a difference of opinion in those types of questions, which I love. I think that's my favorite thing. We just had this one, Sean from PK says, Ryan, do you know Derek Meadows 40-time used to live in Vegas and have friends who go to the all Gorman games? He is not a high volume target for them. 50% of chances are jump balls with inferior comp. 50% of catches are jump balls with inferior comp. So PK, he ran at Notre Dame's. He camped at Notre Dame last offseason, and I think he was either 6'4", 6'5", one of those two. And he ran 4.5 flats in the 40, which obviously for 6'5" is pretty fast, right? It's pretty fast. So he can run. He can run. Low volume of targets, Sean, but he averaged a crazy yards per catch, and he scored a bunch of touchdowns in the amount of opportunities he got. So he's a height, weight, speed guy. He's a height, weight, speed freak athletes who still developing as a receiver, obviously, but the tools are obviously all there. Jason Smith said, is Jarquez Carter coming? No, Jarquez Carter is not coming this weekend. I do not know if he's planning a trip or not, but he is not coming this weekend. Ida Benami just said, athletic article on Owen Streb. He mentioned how he's taking a step back due to the new Wisconsin offensive line coach. Think that is something to keep an eye on. I mean, I haven't got any indication on that. I haven't talked to him about I don't even know who Wisconsin's new offensive line coach is to start with the conversation. Like, I'm not really sure who that is. I just know that things are in a great spot with Owen, and I wouldn't be shocked if Notre Dame's able to close it. So we'll see if that is a deterrent or not, but I haven't heard anything of the sorts as of now. Sean, have you seen Owen Strebig's junior film by any chance, or not? Not so much.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes, you have.
Yeah,
Okay.
as soon as he jumped on the scene, yeah.
Okay.
The kid was like, it's, you watch certain film and it's like, who is this guy playing against? Like, who are all these little guys he's playing against? And it's not so much that he's playing against small competition. He's just massive, man. But he's like a lean massive. Like, he holds it really well, right? Like you said, the first time we heard about him, he was like 290, right? He was listed at 290. And we were like, yo, he's 290? Like, as a sophomore? Like, this is wild. And then you watch his junior film and you're like, okay, he's starting to fill out. But he's still lean. He's very Joe Altish.
Yeah. He's just a massive kid, man, right? Like, he's just got a big boy frame.
Yeah.
He's a big boy frame.
Yeah, it's just like, yo, but his film is all because he's always been, good feet. He fits Joe Rudolph because they use the offense they use him in. He pulls, he does a lot of different things, and he loves to hit. He loves to get to the second level and block. He's not, because you see kids that just know they're bigger, and I don't want to call them lazy, but like when you know you're bigger and you can just depend on your size, you have some kids that when you watch their film, you're like, okay, that kind of comes across. He doesn't come across like that. He doesn't come, and really, he could be fringe. If he takes another step, he could be one of those 4.5 fringe 5 guys as well.
Yeah, he's got that type of talent.
Yeah.
His sophomore film was really impressive. I thought his junior year he was just kind of the same, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, that just
Hmm.
means but I think he does have a jump to take, Sean, because offensive linemen especially. I think we need to
Hmm.
remember this about high school kids. They're still learning how to use their body, man. Like some of these guys just don't even understand the mechanics of how their body is supposed to be used yet. Like it just isn't. So I think that those jumps can always happen. So I'm interested to see it.
Hmm.
Oh, this is an interesting one. 99 problems with BK1. If you could compare both floor and ceiling for each of these prospects, how would you rank these? Christopher Burgess, Damian Shanklin, CJ May. And there's another part there too at the end. But Sean, let's go floor first. The floor rating of these players. Christopher Burgess, Damian Shanklin, CJ May. What would your order be on that one?
Oh man.
It's actually a pretty good one. It's a pretty good
I'm
question.
sorry. Let me take my
Yeah.
Chicago hat off and put it to
Take
the
your
side
Chicago hat.
right quick.
Yes.
Yeah,
Throw it in the trash. Throw it in the trash.
no, I'm gonna put it back on as soon as we're done with this question. But no, Shanklin Burgess, man.
Shanklin Burgess May.
Yeah.
For floor? You think the floor is that?
No, ceiling.
Oh, ceiling. Okay,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Ceiling.
I'm
No, you're
sorry.
good. You're good. We are on the
Ceiling.
same
Floor?
wavelength there. Yes.
Yeah. Floor? Ooh.
It's tough, right? Because I
It
think, Sean,
is.
I,
It
I think
is.
what you hit on right there is I think we completely agree on the ceiling.
Okay.
Shanklin, Burgess, May. 100% agreed. The floor is an interesting question.
It
That's
is. It
interesting.
is. It is. It's the more difficult question. The ceiling is
Yep.
easy, in
I
my
would
opinion.
say for floor, Burgess would be third for me. I think
Okay.
Burgess has, I mean, I just had him as the second highest upside guy. I think he has legitimate superstar potential, but
Mhm.
he's still very raw. I mean, he's still
Yeah.
very, very raw as a player. Third for he would be, this is going to surprise some people. Okay. I might go CJ May second, and I might put Damian Shanklin first, because although I still think that there's a lot of room for improvement and development for Damian Shanklin, Sean,
Yeah.
6'5", 230 plays, brother. Like that
Yeah.
plays. Even on the floor, that plays, So I think Shanklin actually might have the highest floor and the highest ceiling for me, which is kind of weird to say. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
I agree. That was a good
Okay.
question.
That was a really good question. Very thought
Yeah.
provoking, especially the second part. That's a really interesting question. All right. We had let's see. Let's go to Ida Minami, who just said, who is the highest ranked 2025 non-committed recruit we're looking at? Well, on campus this weekend, the highest ranked kid that isn't committed to Notre Dame, I guess, would be Nathaniel Wu. He is the highest ranked kid. He's number 19 overall by Rivals, I believe. Other top guys, Iden, just so you know, some of the with the better recruiting profiles. Owen
Mhm.
Streb's got a really nice recruiting profile. Jack Lang's got a really nice recruiting profile. Dallas Golden's got a really nice recruiting profile. I think Mark Zachary's rated as a top 70 player by at least one platform. He's got a nice recruiting profile. Jadon Blair is ranked in the top 30 by at least one recruiting platform. So there's some guys, man. There's some guys that are ranked pretty dang high. Pretty dang high. All right. All right, we already hit on the Julian Sayin news. We talked about the 9th year of eligibility. Sean, here we go. Here's another news that popped last night. Joshua
Yeah.
Board, can you give us your thoughts on Bill O'Brien being named the Ohio State offensive coordinator? I think it's a bad move and also risks losing Brian Hartline.
Can I be totally honest?
Yeah, man, be honest. Of course you
Yeah.
can.
Ryan Day used Brian Hartline as an excuse for why things haven't been going right. He flat out threw him under the
Even though
bus.
he didn't call plays, like it's so
Yeah,
weird, man. It's a
yeah.
weird
He made
situation.
dude. When you're a play caller like Ryan Day, you're at the helm. You're at control.
Yep.
Like Kingsbury wasn't calling plays at USC. Like what, dude? What are we talking about? We understand what happens, right? And Brian Hartline has been the scapegoat. And if you listen to anyone connected to a former Ohio State players that blame Brian Hartline, like, dude, we got all these wide receivers. Why are the wide receivers not, why is, Emeka Ibuka not developing? I'm like, what? This dude was a first, second round pick this year if he didn't come back.
Yeah.
Like Marvin
Yeah.
Harrison's a top 3 pick. Like, what do you? Well, Marv was Marv. Oh, so they don't get any credit for developing him. He just showed up like the way he was this year. It's amazing the many ways and people connected to the program have tried to blame Brian Hartline. When the truth of the matter is, they had incompetent play at quarterback. There was an extreme drop off from C.J. Stroud. Ladies and gentlemen, he's still in the playoffs. Did you not see him last weekend? Compare him to Cal McCord. It's clear what the drop-off was in the offense because they have plenty of talent, and most of that talent offensively is coming back. And if they get the quarterback situation right, once again, Ryan Day is going to look good.
Yep.
He's going to look good. So Bill O'Brien, in my opinion, is a non-factor. What is he really controlling? Now, is this a situation where the powers that be had a talk with him after 3 consecutive losses to Michigan and said, hey, man, you need to bring somebody in here? Now, is that
well, Sean, I
don't know.
I would say this is that Bill O'Brien's pretty egotistical. He's an egotistical person. Do you think he would come without having that autonomy as the number 1 play caller? I don't know.
He probably wouldn't. He probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
So, maybe, maybe they had talks and said, we're not going to get rid of him, but we can be very suggestive as to what needs to happen.
It was a very interesting choice. One, I do think that this means that Ryan Day is letting go a little bit and being more the CEO type, which I think is good. I don't think that's bad because I honestly think that Ryan Day is a pretty overrated play caller, to be honest. I don't think he's bad or anything, but I think he's a little bit overrated.
I can see that.
Bill O'Brien's an interesting choice though, Sean, because he alienates people sometimes, right? He's not I don't know if I would necessarily say he's I don't know if he's a builder, right? Like, I don't know. I think he's a good offensive mind. He's a good offensive mind.
What's the best thing on his resume in your opinion?
I mean, probably his first stint in New England with Brady, I guess, was probably his best. That was some
I
of their better offenses.
I was going to say taking Deshaun from year 1 to year 3. Oh, no, he was only with Deshaun 2 years, I think.
Oh, and with Houston? Yeah, I mean, he did a good job in Houston as the play caller, too. Yeah, he did a good job in Houston. I mean, he did a pretty good job at Penn State considering everything he was dealing with, too, as the head coach. I mean, there was a lot on his plate, obviously.
Oh, that's true.
Stuff happening there, but
yeah. I just think he wears on you.
Yes.
Or he can wear on you.
Yep.
And see, we can get to this whole we can sit here and talk about play calling for like an hour.
Yep.
You really can, right? Because I think what you saw between what was his name, Ben Johnson?
Yep.
And McVay last weekend was some beautiful stuff. It was almost, I felt like it's so funny because play callers, great play callers will make you feel like they didn't do this enough. But you're not mad. Right? You're not mad, but you're like, man, he could have done that. Man, that worked so well. He could have did that some more. Like, he could have ran Kyron more against the Lions.
Could have.
It was really efficient. It worked really well.
Yep.
But you're not mad. You're like, but dude, this was working, that was working. So, I understand.
Puka Nacua had 9 catches for 180 yards. Like,
exactly. And that's great play callers, right? Like, dude,
yes.
How do you argue with Matt LaFleur and the way he used Aaron Jones on Sunday? Like, like, how do you say he should have let Jordan Love throw more? Should have went 4 or 5 wide. For what?
I mean, Jordan still got his, man. He threw for like 273 touchdowns. Like, he still got his,
And that's great play calling. Everybody gets theirs.
Yep.
That's great play calling. Great play callers find a way for everyone to get theirs. And I don't know if Bill O'Brien has a little bit of stubbornness to him.
Yes.
Well, he can't be any more stubborn than Ryan Day, though. Ryan Day is extremely stubborn.
Oh, buddy. Man. Yeah. That's two very egotistical people in one room. That's a lot of ego in one room. Oh gosh. It's gonna be a weird dynamic.
I can't wait to hear my first update from C-Tape. Can't wait. Can't wait to talk to him. Can't wait. Like, please tell me what Bill O'Brien's like.
Just a very, very strange fit, right? Because Sean, I said this before. I was talking to someone yesterday about it, but I don't think Bill O'Brien's a bad play caller. I think he's a pretty good play caller. I think he's a smart offensive guy. I don't think he's a good person though. I shouldn't say good person because good involves so many different things. I don't think he's a very nice person. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think he's a person that you want to be around. Like, he doesn't strike me as that type of guy.
Man,
but I think he's a good player. I think he knows
still
ball.
do a really good job. Yeah. Despite being a jerk.
Yes. I think he really knows how to run offensive ball. Yeah. Oh, he's a jerk. 100% a jerk. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. No doubt. Nathan Milton, Andy Milton fan. 2025 offensive line class has the potential to be the best since. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure, Nathan.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, man. I think when it's all said and done, I think 23 is going to end up being a very good offensive line class to the University of Notre Dame.
You know what I was going to say, Sean, is I was literally going to say it's the best since at least 23. You know what I mean? Like,
I think 23 was kind of like
underrated.
And they lost Elijah, right? Out of that class.
Elijah Page. I like Elijah Page too.
But even losing Elijah is like, they got some dudes. I think, Charles and Sullivan next to each other could be
pretty good. Pretty good. Sam Pendleton just strikes me as a guy that's going to be like a multi-year, just good starter. And Joe Wadding, I think, could be the next great center after Ashton Craig. I mean, like, you never know. I mean, 2023 could be really good. I'm excited to see that class. Charles guys be pumped, man. I'm so pumped to watch Charles next year at left tackle. So pumped about it. John, this one's going to ring true to your ears right here. PK says, I think if Notre Dame can get one of the young monsters of the Midway, i.e. a big from Chicago each year, like Christopher Burgess, we will have established the pipeline we need.
Well, I know for a fact defensive line is going to be huge over the next 2 years, especially in the public league. I mean, the Catholic league. And I think in your report, they went to Mount Carmel today, which is always a national powerhouse. And their defense, Jordan Lynch is the head coach over there. I think he placed 6th and 7th in the Heisman race his senior year in Northern Illinois.
Dude, he was nasty, man. He was a nasty back quarterback, baby. He was nasty.
And he has transitioned that program seamlessly. They won another state championship because under Frank Linty, the legendary Frank Linty, they were with Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb ran option, bro.
What about
he ran triple option? Yeah, he ran triple option. A lot of people don't know that. Now they are wide open, 3-4 wide. Jordan Lynch has revolutionized the way they run offense, and their defense is always stingy. So, you're starting to see more SEC type athletes, right? Because Parker Starks, the linebacker, Notre Dame was on him for a while.
Yeah.
So it's tons of talent in Chicago, and a lot of people might feel like Nate Marshall is better than Burgess. I don't agree.
Yeah.
But, the kid was back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year in the same conference with Justin Scott. So that tells you about...
Marshall's a stud. He's a really good player.
Yeah. So, there's always talent, but the best players in Chicago, it's about being in the front of the minds of the players, man. You don't have to get every last one. But you got to be in the top 3. There's no question about that. And it's the same thing for the kids from Indianapolis, the kids from Maryville, the kids in surrounding Indiana areas. Dude, you're Notre Dame. You have to be, that brand has to be in the minds of 7th graders, 8th graders, 9th graders as they're going into high school. It just has to be. So Notre Dame is they're doing exactly what they need to do. Yeah. So
Notre Dame needs to keep the talent in Chicago and Indiana that they want, right? You need to hit those two. Can't let the kids get out of state that you really want. You can't let kids get out of Chicago that you really want. Just can't let it happen. Just can't let it happen. Look, Nate Marshall wasn't a good fit for Notre Dame, whatever. But you have identified, if you're Notre Dame, you identified Christopher Burgess, you identified Joseph Reif, you identified Dominic Kulak, and you have identified Talon Taylor. You have 3 out of 4 of those that you identified as guys that you wanted. You have to go get Talon Taylor. I have to go get him. Can't let those kids get out of Chicago that you really want. Can't let it happen. All right, I think we only got
identified Brother Rice has 3 kids, right?
Brother Rice, yeah.
It's a 24. They had Christian, the linebacker from Brother Rice. Brother Rice is a very slept-on program in Chicago, right? They're almost like they get played as the little brother to Mount Carmel, but they have really good players, right? Because Trey, the defensive tackle, he went to Michigan. Trey Pierce, Christian Pierce, his younger brother, actually visited Notre Dame, but ended up, he's not going to end up at Notre Dame. This is his senior year coming up. He's probably going to either join his brother in Michigan, Ohio State's high on him, Illinois, Wisconsin. And then you have Alex Steck, defensive lineman for Brother Rice. His dad went to Notre Dame, played for Notre Dame. Liggins is a sophomore.
Is he related to Grant? Is he related to Grant Steck?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And Liggins, Deontay Liggins, he played on the other dude. Brother Rice is going to be really good because they have both of these young defensive ends, I think, for another 2 years. And both of these kids, this Liggins kid, popped off the screen immediately when I watched them play as a true sophomore. And I talked to both of their tackles that are D1 tackles. Both of them graduated this year. They're like, yo, he gave us the most trouble in practice all year. The Liggins kid. So the talent is there for the next 3 or 4 years. It's like a very special wave of talent coming through the Chicago area in football right now. Like it's unlike any other time. It's really elite. So yeah, well, I agree. This is the best time to establish that pipeline. I agree.
Right, Sean, I think we had a super chat that's going to end the podcast. So Tyler Evans wants to know, who are you picking for this weekend's playoff games? So let's go one by one real quick and we'll bang this out. Houston Texans at Baltimore Ravens. I have the Ravens in that one.
Yo, I really want CJ to do well, but I just don't. Cal Hamilton and that crew. And what they've done to every good team they've played, I don't know how you don't pick the Ravens at home. I just don't.
We had the Green Bay Packers at San Francisco 49ers. Sean, here's my upset alert, buddy.
Green Bay Packers, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. But this week is going to be about the Packer defense. Your boy played that run game a little bit. Quay Walker was decent last week.
Yeah,
I know you picked at him a little bit. I know he was decent last week. He was decent.
Yeah.
And that's a compliment, saying he was decent.
Yeah.
So
not good, just decent. But it's
no. And if Alexander makes a difference, a huge difference, and then he allows their safeties to come down and be aggressive, like Savage. You got that pick 6. So there's some things that if they can turn Brock Purdy over a couple of times, they might have a chance. Because offensively, I think Matt LaFleur and the way he's been using Aaron, in the run game to set up every. Can I just say this for a second? Because I know we're about to get out of here, dude. You know what?
No, you're fine.
The beautiful thing about play calling, Brian, is that a play caller is like a teacher. They always find the way to pull the best out of each individual student because every student's not the same. That's the job of a teacher. Find a way. Matt LaFleur found a way with all the talent they had early on with injuries at the running back position, and then they're missing a possible Hall of Fame left tackle that they thought was going to be there. He goes down. They're shuffling offensive line, and somehow, some way, he's like, I love my quarterback, but he's not ready to just let him go 3-4 wide. I'm going to have to go 12 personnel, protect him, and let him operate and play action because that's his strength now. And he rebuilt everything in the middle of the season. And the kid now in the last 7-8 games is what, 29 touchdowns and 1 interception?
Yeah, he's been great.
But it's mainly out of 12 personnel. Like, if you really watch him, he's going 4 wide, but it's 12 personnel. And he's doing different things, but he always makes sure that he has him protected. Right? Because if you rush him, that's when you start to see Jordan Love get erratic. So that is like the job of a great play. You have to protect your asset, man. Protect your asset, put him in great position. And then as he evolves, he'll be a better quarterback next year. So they might be able to come out in more, 11 personnel, 10 personnel. But right now, what they can do to confuse you in 12 personnel, because you don't know what they're going to do. They give you so many different looks out of 12 personnel, you have no clue. Like, I don't know what Tennessee. They're going against Tennessee this week. They're going against this. Everybody knows you put the running back. Everybody in the world knows, in football, high school, college, and NFL, you put your running back out, right? You flex him out, and then you bring him back to the backfield to see if it's zone or man-to-man. Everybody does it. If the linebacker follows him as man-to-man, if the linebacker doesn't follow him as zone. They faked like he was coming back and literally threw a quick screen to him because he had the numbers. I mean, it was just like Matt LaFleur was in his bag to watch him tomorrow. I mean, on this weekend, go up against Shanahan.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun times.
I'm with that upset alert, bro. This could get real dicey.
Yep.
Real dicey for the 49ers. Because I expect either the 49ers come out super hot or they come out a little because they haven't played.
Yep.
Right? And Jordan Love and the Packers, if they come out hot and get out front and they can kind of take McCaffrey out of the game and force Brock Purdy to have to do everything, it can get real interesting. I'm with you on that one.
Last two. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Detroit Lions. Sean, I think Tampa Bay had a great performance against Philadelphia Eagles, but I think the Philadelphia Eagles were absolutely just donezo in their minds. And I think that was a little bit of an outlier. Detroit Lions at home over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
There's no way I'm picking Baker Mayfield. Heck, I didn't pick him last weekend. So,
he won last weekend, unfortunately.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
But that was more about Philly than it was him.
Philly was tapped out, man.
Is that not the worst secondary you've seen?
Worst defense I've seen, man. They're not
wow, right?
They're really bad. They're a really bad defense. Really bad defense. Yeah. Matt Patricia calling a defense. Who would have thought that it would have been bad? Yeah.
Yeah. Good job, Sirianni.
Yeah. Kansas City Chiefs at Buffalo Bills. Sean, I never really bet against Patrick Mahomes, but I feel like it's the Bills' year, man. I don't know why. Josh Allen. Give me Josh Allen at home.
You can take him.
Take him.
It's the fourth quarter. I'm taking 15, dude. I'm taking 15. They better jump out in front. Because if it's a close game,
okay.
All right, man. And some key injuries, dude, happened in that Pittsburgh game that people are not talking about. They lost a safety, 2 linebackers. As soon as A.J. Klein came in, the Steelers were like identifying him in pass coverage and getting things done. Don't think Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes are like, okay, A.J. Klein is going to be on the field. Bernard is a huge loss.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, Terrell Bernard's a good player.
He's a really good. He had an interception in the regular season game.
Yep.
So, and then I think he might play, but the young defensive back, the physical kid that we both like.
For the Bills?
For the Bills. I know he was listed as prop. probable. He was downgraded from probable.
Okay.
You know, the last name starts with a B. You know, 30. What is it?
Is he a young kid?
Benford. Is it Bedford?
Oh, Christian Benford from
Benford,
Villanova?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
from Villanova. Okay, I got
That
it.
kid. Yeah, he was downgraded today. So if he
Gotcha.
doesn't play, you're already down White.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think Cook. I don't even think it's Josh Allen. I think running the ball with Cook against a
James
Chiefs
Cook.
defense that gives up a little bit on the ground. Brought him and Kincaid can probably be the keys, really.
It's going to be interesting. Hoping just for a good week of playoff football. There's a lot of blowouts last week, man. It wasn't too much fun in some certain instances. So let's hope for some better games. Thank you all so much for joining the show today. Hey, before you get out of here, hope you enjoyed the recruiting breakdown in the beginning. Hope you enjoyed Carson joining us for a couple minutes on the mailbag, and I hope you enjoyed the mailbag as well. Make sure to hit that like button for us all. Subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well. If you're listening to us after the show, favorite podcast platform, 5-star reviews are very much appreciated. Go to Burs.IrishBreakdown.com. We'll talk to you again very soon. Junior Day weekend. We'll have a lot of great intel over there at Burs.IrishBreakdown.com. We'll talk to you again very soon here on the Irish Breakdown Podcast.